All right, hello everyone, and welcome to a game that Justin is not DMing for once, and for once I get to talk first, which is exciting. This is Soldiers of the Lich Queen, a campaign of my own making that will be following the these fine people, if I remember how I laid out the stream overlay, uh, as they go through their adventures as a group of half-Gith through their trials and tribulations in Gith society, and I'll go over the more details about that as we get started. Let's see. Channel announcements. Anything, Justin?
Yeah, I got a little one. Please join our Patreon. I don't have any links for it right now. Drop in chat, but I might do that periodically, or throw it in the Discord. Basically, if you join the $1 tier on our Patreon, you get to take part in this really cool text-based RPG chat I'm trying to do, where you can help influence the world of our main campaign that we play here on the channel, Beneath the Tide, our pirate campaign. You basically get to roll up a character at first level, sort of like this sort of like character living in the world, and shape events that happens behind the scenes that the players playing the game can run into. So you can influence the political sphere and everything. So if there's like voting on who might be the next monarch, etc., you can come in and sort of manipulate that, and the players don't know because they're not going to be able to go into that channel and look around in it. As well as you can also make attacks on cities, maybe when the players are there. So that's something I'm going to try figuring out once we get people doing that. The $10 tier, you also get access to free dungeon maps that I'm going to start releasing on D&D Beyond for $12, but as a $10 patron, you get those for free every month. I'm going to try doing little tiny couple-hour dungeons every month because I like making dungeons and it's fun. That's really all I have for announcements, other than Pirate Campaign, 10 p.m. Wednesdays, Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Wednesdays. It's House from Ben Hill, but that game might get canceled because there's been a lot of issues with scheduling, and I might be replacing that with a game called Scream of the Void, which is a space-based horror D&D show it's very heavily influenced off of Doom. So that's going to be weird. And then, as always, 2 p.m. on Wednesdays is Academy of Doors, which is our Planescape game that I also DM. I DM a lot of games on Wednesdays. Uh, and then Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, we do Grimshade Mountain, which is DM'd by our very own Garrett, who plays Noose in the Pirate Campaign, and he DMs that. And I play this undead Minotaur Death Domain cleric called Gorak. And he's pretty sweet. But yeah, that's all the announcements I have, so take it away, Sam.
All right. So, with that business out of the way, this is the part where we would put an animated intro if we had one. So just imagine one in your head. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. The music is just on point. All right. Now that that's over, let's go through, and as our first session, let's have these fine people who are actually going to be playing in this campaign. Let's just go around and introduce yourselves to our audience. So say hello. So whoever would like to go first can just go right ahead.
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm playing Aja Grimace, half-orc fighter.
I'm Parsa. I'm playing Reggie, the half-orc bard.
Hi, I'm Rose. I'll be playing Drusilla, the half-elf druid.
And yeah, I'm Justin. Everybody probably recognizes my face. And I'm playing Hannibal, the Triton artificer, who looks nothing like a Triton.
Yeah. So if you take a look around the overlay, you can see wonderful art done by Kira Knox. That is, you can see them all right above their little window. So yeah, if you guys want to point, you can see, yeah, it's either above or below or next to. So yeah, all right, let's get started then. Yeah, it's hard to remember where you or where anybody is in the stream overlay unless you're like looking at it. So
The bottom, that's all I know.
yeah. Fun fact, it was really easy for me to tell who would go where in the stream overlay because it was just based on whose art made sense poking out of which side of the window. So, all right.
Before we begin, I just fixed my audio because it was apparently too loud.
Okay.
Apparently, Rose, your audio is kind of quiet, like very quiet.
I'm closer to the microphone.
Tis what chat just told me. Thank you, Garrett.
Thank you, chat. Thank you, Garrett.
Thank you. Is this better?
think so. Wait, say again.
Is it better now?
Think so?
I think so. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So to begin, to catch up the audience a little bit, these 4 individuals all grew up somewhere scattered throughout the world, raised by a maternal figure in their life, most likely. Or at least they started there. Whatever happened in their lives happened in their lives until one day, all on the same day for each of them, a group of Gith, specifically Githyanki, showed up and took them away from their home to go join some sort of higher purpose. Some of them were aware of this since they were very young. Some of them were, through other circumstances, either they were not told by their parent or they were taken away from their parents at a young age and therefore not aware of the situation. But either way, all of them were picked up and taken, except for Hannibal, who was raised and grew up among the Githyanki from a young age. They were all brought to a compound somewhere in the middle of the jungle. None of them are quite aware exactly where they are, or at first they weren't quite aware of quite exactly where they were, because the flying ships that they were taken on took a shortcut through the astral plane and on their journey, so they didn't get to see the overland view of exactly where they were going. They just sort of entered into the strange amber starry sky of the astral plane before entering back into the world and finding themselves in this compound enclave in the middle of the jungle, middle of the rainy jungle, where they were told that each of them is half Gith, and they're part of a program where the Githyanki have a limited population, and they're realizing that they need to do something to deal with that in the future. And other Githyanki higher-ups have their own ideas, but they are under the purview of one called a knight called Grantar, whose idea was basically like, what if we just start accepting, like, what if we just start, intermingling our genetics with other races of the world? And so this program is essentially an experimental program to see how well that would go. They were brought together as one squad, and over the course of 2 years, they've been trained by the Githyanki to hone their skills and be prepared to defend themselves and venture out into the world. They are one of 5 squads, 5 4-person squads in this enclave that were raised and trained together. All of them are half Githyanki. Specifically, every single person here technically has their genetic father being Grantar, the one that is running all of this. So they've been together in training for 2 years. Various escape attempts were made and were not necessarily successful. Always caught and brought back. But they've had time to get to know each other, spend some time together. The enclave itself is in the middle of, like I said, a clearing in the jungle. All of the buildings are these stone, almost stair-step-like pyramid structures, the varying sizes. There's some smaller ones off to the sides and one larger one in the back. That is where Grantar and some of his higher-ups do their work. Over the course of the 2 years, Grantar has not always been present. He has other things to attend to, and he kind of comes in and out for visits and check-ins, but otherwise goes back to the astral plane to do his business. And what all of you are aware of is that your graduation from this program is approaching, after which you will be sent back into the world as a squad to go out on the sort of initiation test that every Githyanki soldier has to go through in their lifetime before they can join their Lich Queen and her immortal soldiers in the astral plane. You must first venture out in the world and find and kill an illithid so that you can present its head to the feet of your Lich Queen at her throne. So that is what you have to look forward to. But for right now, you have all been spending the last 2 years training, and right now you are coming up on the final days of your training. You are actually we're going to be starting on the morning of the day of your final test, your final group test before you begin your journey venturing outward from here. You've been made aware at some point that to put a name to the region that you're in, you're deep within the jungles of somewhere off the eastern side of the map, called the Land of the Sorcerer Kings, which some of you may have heard of, some of you may have not. It's generally a very secluded, isolationist region, far into the eastern jungles. But we're just going to start with sort of your morning. You kind of have a morning off because you have, with your test, your exam coming up later that day. You have the rest of the day kind of to get ready, to prepare, to do whatever you need to do to prepare for this exam. You're aware that it's probably going to be something combat-based, and Grantar himself will be there to observe. So, I'll just start by asking how each of you are going to be spending your morning. What are you going to be doing? After having lived here for 2 years, what is something that each of you would be doing with your morning off, when you don't have anything in particular you need to be doing? So if anyone has an idea, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just go.
Hannibal will be in his lab doing experiments on maybe the possible flesh he's accumulated throughout his time here.
Okay.
And just basically seeing what certain fluids and other alchemical combinations, what they do to the flesh when he like injects it into the said flesh, or just how like the flesh reacts to other chemicals and stuff.
All right, so you're in there doing your creepy experiments. Could you real quick? Can you describe? I know everyone can see the art, but could you just describe Hannibal very quickly for us? I know what he looks like.
Oh yeah.
I know you've been looking forward to this.
All right, so he's a Triton. But he appears slightly mutated through the half-Gith parentage experiments. Cool, I'm not muted. Oh, unlike most Triton, he's covered in slimy green-black scales and adorned in razor-like fins. He has 2 snow-gray eyes with red glowing slits like a snake for pupils, hidden by ridged, protruding eyebrows. On top of his domed head is a series of 3 fin-like mohawks, which he keeps concealed under his black bowler hat. His teeth are long, jagged, and misshapen and fanged like a deep-sea anglerfish. And his lips he doesn't really have lips, so they don't really hide this perpetual toothed grin. He's about 6'4", weighs about 275 pounds. He's considered toned and healthy. He does not like to drink alcohol, which is why he is so why he thinks he's healthy. He has 3 digits on each hand that seem devoid of fingernails. And his right hand is covered by a white silk glove adorned in various gems. His feet are extremely webbed and frog-like, however. In terms of his clothing, he likes to reflect his more studious and learned nature, and wears a long, flowing Victorian-style frock coat made from red velvet, with a long, flowing, thick gray scarf to aid in the concealment of some of his more bestial traits. Beneath the frock coat sits a buttoned-up purple cashmere waistcoat that holds a bandolier wrapped from his left shoulder across to the right side of his waist, and this bandolier is full of various phials of strange materials and liquids. For pants, he wears a pair of black silk leggings held up by a pair of ruby-red suspenders that are hidden beneath the frock coat. On his feet, to conceal their strange appearance, he wears a pair of leather knee-high boots with 2 white marble great white sharks coiled around the tips of the boots. On the tip of his head usually sits a black bowler hat and a pair of tortoiseshell glasses that sit on the ridge of where his nose might be.
Okay. All right, so you are in your lab working away.
Yeah.
Let's just go around and give everybody a chance to say where they are. So if we're moving across the bottom from Justin, Rose, what's Drusilla doing?
Drusilla would be outside, kind of in nature, meditating, letting the sun just essentially sunning herself like a cat. Not trying to escape at this point in time. That has been unsuccessful, so don't try again is what her mind is. Yeah, she's just kind of collecting her wits before the battle.
Okay. So are you like laying out in the like dewy undergrowth of plants or grass, or like finding like like a bit of rock to sit up in and dry, like a nice dry piece of rock, or
In the grass.
just nice right in the grass? Okay.
Nature as possible.
All right. Okay. Continuing, I guess that was counterclockwise. Parsa, what is Reggie doing?
He's probably staying in his room, like practicing some of the songs he's been trying to write. So we've been going back and forth and correcting some stuff as he's practiced.
Okay. And what instrument is Reggie playing?
A lute.
Okay, so sitting in his stone bedroom in in your smaller pyramid the squad all shares, playing with the lute. And I'm so sorry, I forgot to ask Drusilla. What does Drusilla look like?
Drusilla is she stands about 4'9". Her skin is a coppery brown bordering on green. Her hair is a dark red with a left side shave. Her hair is usually kept up in a bun with her druidic focus stuck through it. Her druidic focus is a crow's skull on a stick with various dried plants around it. For clothing, she just kind of wears green fabric, just kind of keeping it plain and simple. She has nice green eyes that are usually glaring, and she carries a quarterstaff with a bird carved into the top of it.
Okay. And what does Reggie look like?
He's a half orcish man with dark green skin. He's got long black hair and a well trimmed goatee. He's got warm brown eyes, and he wears leather armor dyed in energetic bright colors. And he's rarely without his lute. It's almost always on his back. He has a rapier at his side and a dagger in a kind of underarm holster.
All right. And last but not least, Michael, what is Aja spending her time doing?
This morning, Aja is going to spend some time limbering up. She is excited, a bit anticipatory about what's to come, but very apprehensive as well. And her limbering up is more of a cover for her anxieties than as much as it is to be ready.
Okay. And what does Aja look like?
Aja gives away her heritage, I think, more than she would like. Her skin is a grayish green, not the dark rich green that Reggie is. She is also tuskless. Her face is a bit flat and angular, belaying some of her Gith heritage. She stands 6'1". She's around 130 pounds. She's muscled but wiry. She wears chainmail, which she keeps quite spotless and clean, over dark green trousers and a shirt underneath. Her hair is thick and brown and comes down to about the middle of her back, and she wears it braided over on one side.
Okay. So at this point, I believe only Aja and Drusilla are outside at this point, right?
Yeah.
So the two of you would actually see a skiff, one of the Githyanki skiffs. They're long boats made of. They look like they're shaped like boats, but flat bottomed, so that they can sit on the ground, and made of some sort of strange dark wood that Drusilla, despite having spent 2 years with them, you've never been able to identify what kind of wood they are, despite your time spent with them and your vast extent of knowledge of nature. And they're these long, flat-bottomed boats with usually a single sail up on top of them, but the sails themselves, when they're unfurled, seem to be almost transparent, and they don't move when the wind blows, but they move as if pushed by some sort of unseen wind that's blowing either contrary to or in complete disregard for any airflow around them. And they're made of this almost pastel rainbow shifting colors, constantly seem to be like impossibly thin gossamer fabric, but incredibly strong. And one of these comes swooping in down to land in the cleared off area on the southern end of the encampment where these are usually parked and kept. And you can spot, as they come in, you can spot Grantar standing next to the helmsman, and as well as the 4 members of one of the other squads that you are aware had their graduation exam this morning. Before you guys, they were going first, and you are the second to take your exam. And the other is going to be going in the following days. So they come in for a landing, and a few moments later, they come walking through camp. You've known these people for 2 years, so you would be fairly aware of them. You see a Goliath dressed in fairly simple clothes, no armor, who always kind of had a slouching, slumped posture and always just seems kind of bored by everything. You are aware that is Kurt the Wizard. Almost in complete contrast to him, you see a younger woman with who's just incredibly cheerful and bubbly all the time, practically skipping along next to him. She's wearing very flowing, baggy clothes that are cinched at the wrist and ankle, and you're aware that is Dinar, the monk. Walking along next to her, very friendly. The two of them, you're aware the two of them get along, but you're not sure how. It's one of those things where it's like, you're like, I guess opposites get along well. Is a dull, very dark green scaled lizard folk woman with a shield, currently unbuckling a shield from off of her arm to stow it away, with a mace at her side, wearing a very battered breastplate. And this is and she, in the interactions you've had with her, if any, you've pretty much always come away regretting talking to her, because she always somehow manages to fit an insult into every conversation. This is Erit, the cleric. And then, probably, depending on your interactions with them, for some of you might be one of your least favorite people that on the Enclave, who is just this very large, blocky, barrel-chested man with a completely shaved head, which is a little bit of stubble poking out, very wide-set jaw, picking his teeth with a splinter he found off the ship, just kind of sauntering off the ship with he also wears a breastplate, but he keeps his arms bare, and he very large, but he loves to show them off. And this is Muggs the fighter. And as they pass by, all of you, Kurt is just kind of quietly walking along, but Dinar is the one who skips her way into the Enclave, just being like, "We did it! We did it! We did it! We did it!" And Muggs passes by Drusilla, and he looks down at you, kind of flicks his makeshift toothpick off to one side, and just goes, "Oi, you've got your exam today, don't you?"
I do.
Yeah. Well, I would say don't bother trying to be the best, because I think we've already managed that.
Wasn't planning on it.
Well, smart. And then he's just gonna walk off, and you see them actually. They are heading for. There is one trail out of town, or out of the Enclave, that heads towards the nearest village, which is a couple miles away, like a good hour or two walk. Drusilla, that would have probably been one of your earlier avenues of attempted escape. You're aware it is well guarded, but you see them walking towards it, passing by the guards, pretty much waving to them, and walking directly out of the Enclave, because you would know that with them having passed their graduation exam, apparently, they are free to now leave the Enclave, a luxury that you have not experienced over the past 2 years, and something that, if you pass today, will be granted to you. With that, you can see Grantar silently walks through the middle of the Enclave, through camp, up towards the steps of his much larger pyramid. He's a very tall, serious, almost gaunt-faced Githyanki who wears you rarely see what he's actually wearing, because he wears this very long purple cape attached to these ornate pauldrons that kind of go up to a point off his shoulders that cause the cape to wrap all the way around him, almost like a robe, split in the front that he keeps drawn over himself. And you can see that he has his badge of office as a knight, though, on his back, a very long, curved, intricate silver greatsword. And as he walks in, he'll pass by Drusilla and Aja and just kind of give you the barest of looks and nods, which from him is a lot of interaction because he tends to be very distant in this whole process. He will deliver essential information and things, but other than that is very much fairly absentee.
As he passes, Aja's going to turn to Drusilla and say, just loud enough for Gruntar to hear, "We will be the best."
You sure seem confident in that.
I am. We've trained well. We will be victorious, I think.
I hope so.
Their smugness, I look forward to wiping it off their faces.
That will be a great feeling, I do feel.
You notice the slightest pause in Grantar's step as he listens to this exchange and then keeps walking. Let's see, Hannibal. You're sitting there in your workshop, just kind of tinkering away, working. It is a shared workshop. It's not like your lab. You probably think of it as your laboratory, but like it is kind of like it's a much larger, it's a longer building lined with workbenches and things, and you have your own corner. You have your own workbench area, but this is where a lot of the people that you learned from, the Githyanki artificers, work. This is one large section of it acts as more or less a dry dock for their skiffs so that they can work on and repair those. So you would have studied under the people who make those, as that's one of the largest pieces of Githyanki artifice. But you're off in your corner doing your like little biological research. When just out of the corner, you kind of have a corner, or like if you here's your bench, like there's another one that kind of leads back from the corner. And as you're sitting there working, you just out of the corner of your eye see a shape just sort of slide up along the workbench to your side, just kind of leaning in to look at what you're doing. And you hear a voice, very familiar voice, one that you have come to know very well, say, "So, what you doing?" And that would be Kohis, the one other artificer within the squads, who, whether you engage in it or not, seems to constantly have an air of competition with you.
I'm seeing how well this meat handles acid.
Oh, all right. And how much are you diluting the acid in your experiments?
Probably not as much as you do.
Oh, well, you see, that's because I like keeping my fingers. Mostly because mine are good for something.
What about your face?
What about it?
Do you want to keep it?
Oh, yes. I'm sure much more than you'd like to keep yours.
Doubtful.
Well, I just wanted to stop by to see how you were preparing for your exam today.
Fine. How are you preparing for being an idiot?
I can always count on you for an eloquent comeback, Hannibal. You know that?
Yeah, I'd rather not waste my time syncing up comebacks for you.
All right. Well, if you're not going to give me anything, and she kind of like peeks over your shoulder, probably curious as to whether you've gleaned any sort of information about what the test is going to be, and if you're preparing in some way, or if you're just doing your experiments. And
just doing my experiments.
Yeah, and when she notices that, she kind of sighs, a little disappointed. Oh well, good luck. And then she just kind of wanders off. As she goes, she takes a small flintlock pistol out of her belt and spins it absently. No, it's probably not loaded. If it was actually spinning a flintlock, would probably just send the bullet flying out the barrel.
I mutter under my breath. I hope she shoots her face off.
All right, and let's see. That would leave. So Reggie, you're sitting there in your in your bunk or in your room playing the lute, and your living quarters is kind of you're in this very kind of almost like one room pyramid structure. Well, two really. It's the staircase goes up to the top where there is a sort of common space area where you do your cooking, kind of sitting around and living. But then there's a staircase that leads down into the base, which is where your sleeping quarters are. So I don't know if you're in the upper or lower level. What would you? No.
Sorry. I think the upper level, maybe.
Okay, so it's a little more open, so like the sound of your music can kind of drift out into the main courtyard, and other people can hear you. It's kind of like having an audience. And as you're playing, then so you probably wouldn't notice footsteps coming up the steps because over the sound, you're probably very focused on your music and the sound of it, and it's soft footsteps on stone stairs, so it's very quiet. So just all of a sudden, as you're playing, you notice person like just at first a head because you're probably facing towards the door. At first you see a head, then the rest of a body as someone comes up the stairs towards the doorway, and you recognize they're never really given an official title, but it's the person who is sort of in charge of your squad. She kind of keeps an eye out for all of you or gives you information and sort of manages the four of you, has been in charge of your training. This is Orina. A Githyanki woman who seems like you guys got the nicest of the trainers. Grantar refers to them as handlers. She insists on trainer though. And she's wearing robes of amber and purple, sort of clasped and attached with very intricate gold and jewel work, just gold, this like gold filigree with jewels kind of set into it at regular intervals. One thing you've noticed from all of the higher up Gith in this place is that all of them have just some of the most opulent, gem encrusted clothing, like as if they are the richest people you have ever seen. And she comes up, sort of her hands tented in front of her, and walks up. And she does. She patiently waits as you're playing. She just stands there, listening, and waits for you to get to either a breaking point or the end of the song.
So I'm just playing on the flute, and I look up nonchalantly. Oh, hi. Yes.
Hello, Reggie. May I interrupt?
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Well, I just wanted to come and get you and let you know that in a few short moments, Grantar will be ready to take you to your exam.
Right. Yes. Somehow slipped my mind. It's been working on a little project of mine.
I understand. Are you feeling prepared?
As well as can be, I suppose.
Well, if you wouldn't mind heading out to the landing field, I will go and fetch the others.
Right, of course. And I get up, pack my loot, and head out.
All right, yeah, she just kind of stands by the door, lets you go out first, and then sort of drifts down after you. She's always had this very, very kind, calm demeanor, and for you, this might have been comforting. For someone like Drusilla, it might have been a little off-putting because, like, even when you were running away and like got caught and brought back, she always had this like saccharine, sweet, like expression. Just you've never seen it break. Like she's always been like, "Now, why did you go and do that? Something silly like that." And like it's always this. Like you've never seen her upset or angry. And she will. She'll come. She'll drift her way down the stairs, then make her way over to Aja and Drusilla, and come over and say, "Good morning, you two."
Good morning.
Good morning.
How goes it?
It goes very well. And I just wanted to let you know that your exam is forthcoming in a few moments. So Grantar will be ready to leave momentarily. So if you would make your way over to where Reggie is going, we can get ready to go.
Of course.
Sure.
And I wish you both the best of luck.
Many thanks.
Of course you do. Thank you.
And she'll make her way over. And Hannibal, as you're in the workshop, you hear you hear footsteps coming back over from behind you. It's quiet enough that you can hear someone approaching you from behind.
Why does nobody ever leave me alone?
Perhaps because you have a greater purpose to serve. You hear Grantar's voice behind you.
Oh no. I turn around and go, yes. What would you like, Grantar?
First of all, I would appreciate a modicum of respect. I thought we had raised you better than that.
I mean, you didn't really raise me, did you? You sort of just... I went Irish for a second.
Yep.
You sort of... I did it again. God. Squirted me out of your loins. And then you were done with me, so...
Did we not clothe you? Did we not feed you, train you, give you an education?
That's besides the point.
Indeed. Your exam is forthcoming.
Fantastic. Do I have to deal with those other three?
Yes.
I see.
Shall we?
Wunderbar. And
gather your things.
Yeah, just gather my little vials of whatever I have on me, and I put them in my bandolier, strap the bandolier on, fluff my coat, pop up the collar a little bit, adjust my hat, adjust my glasses, slip the glove on, and I follow.
Okay. So you guys head out into the main area. You go towards the landing field, which is where all the skiffs land.
Mm-hmm.
As you go over there, or as Reggie, you get there first. You're waiting, and you see Aja and Drusilla make their way over shortly after, with Orina pretty much right behind them. And then at a distance, coming out of one of the longer buildings in the far back, you see Hannibal, accompanied by Grantar himself, making his way just kind of constantly disappointed looking as ever. He just literally looks like he is always disappointed in everything he's looking at.
Once Hannibal gets close enough, can I just wrap my arm around his shoulders? Today's gonna be a good day.
Please don't touch my coat.
I squeeze him harder.
Please don't touch my coat.
I squeeze him harder. I don't let go. I keep moving.
All right. Grantar just walks past all of you and then up the gangplank. It's sort of extended ramp up onto the deck of one of the skiffs, where Orina follows after him, and then you also see standing up on the deck two more Gith wearing elaborate robes. These ones are a bit more bulky than Orina's. Orina's is kind of like sleeveless, almost formal wear, whereas these ones seem to be more ready for weather and travel. Still in these deep purples, but with again very gold and silver inlay around the ends of the sleeves and at the shoulders and any place there are seams. And knowing with your experience, you were like, that's probably actual gold threaded into the fabric. And they're standing up on the deck of the ship, both of them with their heads completely shaved, and one of them has a very pointed goatee, and the other one has a mustache that comes straight out at angles from the corners of his mouth. And they're just standing there somberly at attention as Grantar makes his way onto the skiff, and Orina turns around and just gestures for you.
I'll go.
I push off of Reggie and follow.
I want you to be like that. I follow behind him.
All right. As soon as you are on the deck of the skiff, the one of the robed individuals just kind of, with a flick of the wrist, the gangplank lifts up and then retracts back into the side of the ship. There's like a slot for it to fit in, and then the one Gith at the helm begins working some controls, and you feel the very strange sensation that you've only felt a handful of times over the past 2 years, as the sails unfurl and the entire skiff, with a creak, lifts up off the ground and then angles up to start flying up over the trees and over the jungles.
Fantastic.
So as you're going, you can see like just you speed up, and you can see the treetops of the jungle going beneath you. And even from this height, you can see that you are well and truly in the middle of nowhere. As far as you can see, it is just treetops and jungle and just nothing else, basically, for as far as you can see in any direction. It seems like the kind of place where if you did not want to be bothered or make it easy to escape to somewhere meaningful, this would be a great place to be.
Can Hannibal get an idea of how far the drop might be?
For the drop might be?
Yeah, like how far off, like if someone happened to accidentally fall off the skiff, how far of a drop would it be?
You're probably about, let's see, 30 feet above the treetops. You're keeping fairly low, so probably about 100 feet.
I'm sorry about the coat, okay? I'm sorry about the coat. you know.
All right.
In that vein, I would like to use my cartographer's tools to see if I can try to get a sense of what direction and how far and so forth.
Okay, yeah. You're proficient with them, and it's not a terribly difficult check, so I won't make you roll for it. You can tell that you are heading north, and you'll probably I'll be able to tell you how far you went by when you get to the end of the trip.
Okay.
You appear to be heading due north over the trees. At which point, Grantar will turn to all of you and say, he doesn't get your attention. He just starts speaking as if he's expecting you all to be paying attention to him at all times anyway. He says, the purpose of this exam will be to test your ability to work together as a team, and your tactical acumen. You will be placed into a situation where you will have to fight. Well, you will be placed into a situation with hostiles. Whether or not you choose to resolve this through violence is up to you, as long as you do resolve it.
What if we accidentally use our friends as meat shields?
All of you, as I have explained previously, Hannibal, all of you represent a significant investment of time, energy, and resources by both myself and those working under me. To do so would be a waste of both my time and resources, and tantamount to theft. I do not recommend it. And then he says, during the exam, you will need to analyze your advantages and disadvantages and work together to achieve your goals. If you run in and hope for the best and improvise as you go, you will be met with disaster. I expect, as he kind of looks to each of you, as he says this, just slowly making eye contact with all four of you, I expect you to put thought into your actions. Information is the greatest weapon you can wield. Do not forget this. Are there any questions?
I have one, Mr. G. You said information's the greatest weapon. Why not tell us a bit about what we're facing?
You will be informed when we arrive, so that the location can provide context.
And how long will that be?
He looks towards the front of the ship in the northward direction and says, We should be making our landing momentarily.
Thank you, Mr. G.
Are there any conditions that make success more successful?
I beg your pardon.
Oh, the chipper monk and that obnoxious meathead alluded to earlier that they had succeeded very well, and I was curious if there were any conditions that might make the victory more better.
I see. Well, there are a few that could make it so I would consider your success more successful, to put it in your terms. Time is, of course, going to be an element. If you can achieve your goals quickly, that would achieve a greater degree of success. You will be granted multiple attempts should you need them, achieving this in one attempt, of course, also, as well as the elegance of your strategy. Should you formulate a good plan and execute it well, as opposed to surviving and succeeding by the skin of your teeth, once again, a greater degree of success. And as he's saying this, you feel the ship start to dip down and sort of swoop in a curved bank as you start to spiral downward. And as you do, you can see her coming down over another clearing. And looking down, at this point, Aja, you would know that you're probably about 30 miles from where you started, which you would only really know by your cartographer's tools. You would probably have actually noticed as you were going, you're going very, very, very fast, but you don't feel the wind, as if you're like, it's not like leaning your head out the side of a car where it's like you're constantly being blasted by very fast winds. It's like the air is gentle. It's not completely still, but it's moving very gently, but not at all proportional to how fast you're actually going. But you come swooping down, and you can see that there is a very small hill, like mostly just a slight raise in the ground, atop which there is a ruined, what appears probably at one point been a temple. Nature has largely retaken it, and any windows are shattered and broken and like ground away to like dust and very little fragments. There's not even like shattered pieces left in the corners of the panes. It's just completely gone. Vines and ivy and leaves have pretty much retaken the entire thing. And there's, you can even see inside the main hall, the roof is collapsed and there's plants growing up through the floor. The back half of it, which appears to have 2 stories, is more intact. But for the most part, nature has reclaimed a lot of this. It's more or less just what's left of the bones of the structure just poking up out of the ground. And as you come in for a landing, you can see an individual pacing around the outside of the clearing, who appears to be moving their hands in what you would probably recognize at this point as some kind of magical preparation. And as you come down to land, they begin walking their way towards you. And the one of the robed Gith with you, with another flick of the wrist, the gangplank just extends out and then drops down to form a ramp with which you can use to exit.
Do you recognize the individual on the ground?
You do not, actually. This person looks to be a complete stranger to you as they approach. You don't recognize them, and at least from this distance, they're wearing very plain, practical clothing, but in a stark white, which doesn't really match with Gith sensibilities. And you just, at least from this distance, they don't seem to have the same like green skin tone as a Gith. This would be one of the first people without, not of Gith descent, some kind of Gith descent you have seen in like 2 years. And Grantar and his 2 people accompanying him, actually, they stay on the skiff, and Grantar just sort of gestures for you to exit.
I exit the skiff.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll follow behind him.
All right.
Yeah.
You'll make your way down. As you do, you pass this individual. You see that she appears to be an elven woman, pure-blooded elven, not at all, no trace of Gith heritage whatsoever. Pointed ears, very noble, regal features. Her hair is dark and pulled straight, just falls straight back across her shoulders in a curtain. And as she comes around the corner, or as she comes around to the side of the skiff, you can see that she's finishes tracing some arcane sigils in the air, and you seeming to complete a circle around the outside of the clearing, and as there's like a slight flash at the tree line as something appears to finally complete, and she makes her way up past you, sort of just nodding to each of you as she goes, as she makes her way up the ramp onto the skiff. And as she goes, she says to Grantar, "Everything is set up and prepared to your specifications." And Grantar will look down all of you as the gangplank recedes back into the ship, and the ship slightly hovers, just kind of takes off, hovering a couple feet above the ground. And Grantar comes to the edge and looks down over all of you and says, "Your objective is to take and hold that structure," pointing at the temple. "There will be enemies. They will not be anticipating your arrival. You will have the element of surprise on your side. Use it. Aside from that, there are no restrictions, rules, or other impediments to your success. Do whatever you feel is necessary." Just or actually, sorry, when she kind of finished, it looks like that the edge of what she was creating was started a little bit past the edge of the clearing. It wasn't like right at the edge. It's a little bit further into the tree line. He says, "However, if you attempt to leave the testing area, you will find it quite impossible. I wish you the best of luck. Do not disappoint me." And the skiff takes off into the air, flies up to hover over the middle of the clearing, and as it does, you'll see you can barely make out up high in the sky the two robed Gith come up to the edge of the skiff and start casting some spells, and some streaks of what looks to be smoke begins flying down off their hands to land. You see two land inside, or you see four go down and spread out to land inside the temple area, and then two peel off and go outside the temple and land on the ground opposite from you where you cannot see them. And the four of you are left standing there in this clearing with your objective before you.
Alright, let's just get this over with.
No, we should not just get this over with. We should think about it. Figure out the best way to accomplish the task. He said explicitly, don't just walk in and act like fools.
Would probably be best if we scouted it out a bit.
Agreed. If we have to hold this edifice as well, we should see what entrances and exits are available.
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
Well, do we see any? How far away from the temple are we?
This is a very large clearing, so I would say that you're probably the clearing itself is oval shaped, with the hill and the temple pretty much in the dead center of it, and the hill is like a smaller version shape of the clearing, also kind of an elongated, almost oval shape with the hill on top of it. You're at one far end of the oval, so probably about 200 feet from the closest entrance, or the closest corner of the temple.
And any obvious doorways, anything like that from where we're facing?
Looking at it, you can see that it appears to be, from this distance, you can definitely make out where there would have been two large wooden double doors, but they appear to have long since rotted away and been destroyed, so it's just a big open doorway hole in the front. And as you were coming in, you would have noticed that the large windows along the two sides would create entrances, though those start a little higher up, so you wouldn't be able to just like hop through them. You'd have to climb up and then make your way back down. And then as for the back end, where it kind of seemed to be more enclosed and still intact, you're not sure about entrances on that side. You'd have to make your way over and check.
Does anyone know what those streams of smoke were?
They look like magic. I think that was very obvious.
Do you think that they indicate the number of adversaries that have been laid before us?
That could be it. It could also be something indicating that we're here and to tell the foes that they should come kill us.
Well, shall we go and investigate the entryway?
Sounds like the best course of action.
Duh.
Should we do it quietly, or
I'd
is that going to be a moot point?
I'd rather do it quietly. I'd rather not get eaten because of this loud musical fellow.
Is anybody adept at being particularly quiet?
Nope. I'm adept at being smarter than all of you, so if that comes into play, we can do that.
I'm pretty decent at keeping quiet.
I mean, I'm not great at it, but I can do it.
Well, perhaps Hannibal and I can wait here, and you two could try and approach the structure and indicate if you see anything.
Does it look dark in the structure at all?
In the front part, so it's basically kind of, you can think of it as two parts. There's a smaller back part, which the roof is intact, and it appears to be 2 stories. The front bit, sort of the main chamber, is completely light in there. The ceiling is collapsed in most parts, so sunlight is just streaming in and illuminating the entire inside.
I guess me and Drusilla should head over and sneak toward the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the two, you're gonna move stealthily.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, first rolls of the campaign. Let's get some stealth checks.
Oh, that's a 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Drusilla?
It's a 10.
That's a 10. Okay. So,
Bad idea.
you're not. So this isn't like a manicured lawn or anything that you're working your way through. It is fairly bushy wild grass and undergrowth and like bushes and things. So the two of you aren't just like, you're not doing like the Skyrim crouch and just like making your way forward and hoping no one sees you. There is cover, there's little bits of rock and things that you can make your way through, and you feel like you're doing pretty good as you're making your way closer. Actually, and can I get perception checks from both of you as you're approaching?
Oh, good. I'm proficient in that.
It's a dirty 20.
Okay.
That's 17.
Okay. So both of you would notice this. Drusilla would notice it first. You would see kind of peeking up through the grass as you're approaching, and you're getting close. You're getting much closer to the base of the temple at this point. And as they're moving, Hannibal and Aja, are you staying way back at like the edge of the clearing, or are you approaching with at a distance?
Hannibal would be approaching at a distance.
Aja will follow with Hannibal.
Okay, so we'll say you're probably, I'll say like, for the purposes of knowing how far away you all are, I'll say you're basically 2 move actions away from them.
And I'll say I'll have my light hammer in my gloved hand.
Okay. So Drusilla, you notice this first, and Reggie shortly after. As you're making your way a lot closer, you see coming around the side of one of the sides of the hill, two figures flying through the air, kind of flying at about like head height, just their little toes scraping over the top of the grasses and bushes. They're fairly small creatures. They appear to be about like maybe 2 feet in height. They're like these strange, very thin, almost gremlin-looking creatures with long hooked noses and wings and long clawed hands flying through the air. Each of them, though, with pinpricks of red light for eyes, and it looks like they are made of, as best as you can tell, it's almost like they look like they're made of smoke, but their edges aren't like the edges of their form aren't like soft and wispy. It's almost like when you capture smoke in a bottle, how it fills the space but with a hard edge to it. It's like you can see this moving and swirling inside their form, but it like as soon as it hits the edge of their form, it's like a hard boundary. And they're flapping their way forward side by side, both kind of looking around. And you see them first, but shortly after, as they're getting closer, the two of them, their heads just sort of turn directly in your direction, and they begin making their way towards you.
Oh.
Uh-oh. Should we run? Get them away from the other two?
Run for the temple, maybe?
Yeah, just make a break for it. Just
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Just make a break for it.
Okay, so the two of you are just gonna just book it and try and make a break for the temple entrance.
Yeah.
Okay. So Hannibal and Aja, you're keeping a good distance. You're keeping an eye on these two. Like you can see where they are. You see the two of them pause, look at each other, look forward, and then they just get up and just start sprinting towards the entrance to the temple.
Hell.
Come on, Hannibal.
Yes, I've always wanted to try this though, and I'm gonna take out my tinker's tools that I have built into the palm of my glove, and I'm gonna tap my hammer against them, and I'm gonna cast Arcane Weapon on my light hammer and turn it into a lightning hammer.
Ooh, okay.
So just covered in electricity, just like.
Okay. Aja, is there anything you would like to do to prepare? I'll say the other two are spending like currently they decided to run, so they're booking it. But the two of you, I'll say, can have a moment to prepare. So Aja, if you have anything like a 1 round worth of things you could want to do,
I'll look at Hannibal as he does this, and I'll smile a bit. I'm going to tap him the palm of my hand as well, which does nothing, of course. And then I'm going to start something.
Okay, sorry. Michael, you said you're going to do what? I lost the end of your audio there.
I'm going to tap my hand in the manner that I see Hannibal doing it for a moment and grin at him, which does nothing. And then I'm going to start sprinting.
Okay, so you're going to basically spend yours moving. And then, Justin, you want to say something?
Oh, yeah, just so you know, when I Arcane Weapon, so it basically, it's concentration up to an hour, and it's a bonus action, which is great. So it's imbued with lightning damage, 1d6 extra lightning damage. If the weapon isn't magical, it becomes a magic weapon for the spell's duration.
Okay.
And it's up to 1 hour I can concentrate on. If I cast it at a 3rd level or higher, it's up to 8 hours concentration.
Okay. So, to set the scene, what we have here, Drusilla and Reggie, you come bursting out of the undergrowth onto the more or less bare base of the hill that leads about, I'll say, 30 feet up to the entrance of the temple. With these two smoke creatures having come towards you, they were coming towards you, they've now turned to make pace with you. Aja is about where you were when you started running, and Hannibal is further back, a little bit further back behind Aja, having activated his lightning hammer. And let's all get some initiative.
Yeah! Woo! Hannibal got a straight 15.
Okay.
Because, yeah, 0 initiative.
That's a net 1.
Oh, boy.
Yep. Drusilla got a 16.
Okay.
Aja has a 17.
Okay. So, I'm going to need those numbers again in just 1 second. Let me just get this get this up here. So I'll just do the so no one had a 25 to 20, right? So 20 to 15,
16.
and Aja had a 17.
Correct.
And I had a 15.
Okay.
Hannibal.
And then Reggie had a nat 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Oh my God.
Aja, you are up first. So having decided to sprint, and kind of with these creatures on an intercept course, you are one movement away from both of them.
Okay. I would like to get to them.
All right. And you're just sprinting. You weren't trying to move stealthily at all.
No, my assumption is if they're up and booking it, hiding is out the window.
Sounds good. All right. So you can rush up. You see the two of them. You can now see these creatures. You kind of didn't spot them at first, but as you started sprinting after them, you saw them. These two, again, like almost goblinoid gremlin-like creatures flapping their wings through the air and flying forward, chasing after Reggie and Drusilla.
And I'll try to interpose myself in front of them if that's where I can end up.
Yeah, so you can run. Yeah, you can basically run and get in front of them, and that only takes one movement, so you still have an bonus action.
I would like to hold my action for when they approach, and I will attack if the things do.
Okay, well, so you can make it like too adjacent to them, but instead, would you like to get like? So with your movement, are you moving adjacent to them, or are you moving like in the space between them and your friends?
The space between.
Okay, so you're placing yourself in that space and you're readying your action. Okay.
And when they approach, I will attack.
Okay. That will bring us to Drusilla.
Drusilla, how far away are Drusilla and Reggie from where Aja is right now?
From Aja's only like I'll say like 15 feet from you.
Okay. So Drusilla, seeing Aja stop and ready to attack, she's gonna kind of about face and go back beside Aja, quarterstaff, ready to attack when those guys get there.
Okay, so you come and stand shoulder to shoulder with Aja, ready to action. Also, Hannibal.
Yeah, how far away am I from them in terms of feet? The gremlin-y things.
You are probably about 50 feet from them at this point.
Oh, sweet. I'm just within range because it's a light hammer. I'm going to do the whole Thor flip with the hammer, catch it. I'm going to yell, Hammer Zeit! I'm going to throw it at one of the things. Hammer Zeit.
Okay.
Hammer Zeit, that's just hammer time in German.
Right. Well, technically pronounced Zeit, but you know.
Whatever. I'm going to throw it.
So the grass is a little obscuring, but I'll say you can find like a boulder or something to hop up onto.
Okay, cool.
So you can get a clear line.
And I'm just going to whip it.
Right.
It's got a 60 feet max range.
Nice. All right. Roll that attack roll.
18 to hit.
Yeah, that definitely hits. One on the left or the one on the right?
I'll say the one on the left.
Okay. So the one closer to the building. So basically, you arc it over the one closest to you.
Oh.
Slam it into. I mean, it works just fine.
Okay, so it's 1d4 plus 2 plus the 1d6 of lightning damage.
Right.
Lightning. Okay. So that is for the hammer. That is just a 6 bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
And then for the lightning, on top of that, is arcane weapon. That's 3 lightning damage as it like hits, and now my hammer just lays there on the ground.
Okay. And how much? So you said what was it? 6 and 3? You said
6 and 3, so 9 total.
9 total. Okay. So, Aja and Drusilla, you two, like Aja, you interpose yourself between, like ready to protect your friends. Drusilla, you come up and stand shoulder to shoulder, and then out of the grass you just hear Hammer Zeit, and then a hammer just comes flying out from one side and smacks this thing in the side of the face. And then as it does, it just discharges a bolt of electricity off of it, and then goes tumbling into the grass next to it. And this thing shakes its head, turning, trying to figure out exactly what just happened, and spots Hannibal, like arm outstretched, standing on top of this rock. Hannibal, is there anything else you'd like to do?
Let me see here. Okay. Let me look. Yeah, arcane weapon's a bonus action. So I'm gonna cast it again on my sickle.
Okay, so you pull out your sickle.
Same type lightning.
All right, so lightning it erupts in blue light, and lightning starts to flicker along its blade. That is going to bring us to not Reggie, unfortunately. To these gremlin things. So the one that was hit kind of shakes its head, finds Hannibal, and is going to is going to double move and is going to like fly up over its friend over the grass and then come down right next to you. But that's pretty much all it can do. The other one is going to fly straight forward. And the two of you, it appears to have some measure of intelligence. So it flies straight towards you, and you can see the two of you basically like rearing back with your weapons, ready to smack it in the face. And so it flies up, and it stops 10 feet short of you.
I have a reach of 10 feet. I'm going to attack it.
Oh, okay, that's right, because you have a glaive. That's right.
I do. Can I do that?
Yes, you can. So it appears to misjudge the length of your weapon, and you get to take a swipe at it.
Well, that's a 24.
That will hit.
And that's going to be 12 damage.
Oof. All right. So it flies right up to you where it thinks it's safe, just outside of Drusilla's range, but not outside Aja's. As you swing up with your glaive, it takes like this deep inhalation of breath, and its chest expands like cartoonishly wide. And you swing and smack it right at that moment, but it manages to, as it does that, it kind of sputters but exhales, and as it does, a cloud of smoke pours out of its mouth towards the two of you. Smoke and like little bits of cinder and ember. So I need both of you to make me a dexterity saving throw.
Oh, this is the best. 4.
Okay.
Great rolls.
Natural one.
Okay, so you do a great. You come up, so it flies up. You manage to slash at it, but as you do, it kind of coughs, just and just spews this cloud of cinders and smoke that hits both of you in the eyes, and the two of you are temporarily blinded by this.
Oh, I don't like that.
So yeah, you can't. You're like just cloud, smoke, and other things, and this ash just in your eyes, and it's hard to see, and it burns a little bit. It's like when you sit too close to a campfire and the wind blows in your direction, and like you can't have to blink it out of your eyes. Yeah, that's what just hit you in the eyes. It stings, and you cannot see.
Is this an area of effect thing, or did it target us?
Sorry, what?
Is this an area of effect thing, or did it target us?
It was an area of effect, so it was a 15-foot cone.
So if we got out of the cloud stuff, would we be not blinded? Is my question.
No, so it was an area of effect, but now it's affecting you. So you are basically currently blinded. It seems to be very temporary. Like you're working on blinking it out. It's just going to take you a second, probably about a round.
Got it.
All right, Reggie. So you're at the top. You were running. You were ready to make it up to the temple. Drusilla peeled off from you and went to stand next to Aja. You saw one of them get hit in the head with a hammer, and lightning burst off of it. And then now the two of them are kind of like rubbing at their eyes and blinking from blindness, and another one just zoomed off towards Hannibal. What are you doing?
How far away am I from them?
The two of them, you're 15 feet away.
15 feet away. And how far away is like the bird thing?
It is the one by them is 10 feet away from them, so 25 feet from you.
Okay. So I'm gonna run up to that thing then.
Okay, so you run around Drusilla and Aja.
Yeah.
All right.
And I'm gonna stab at it with my rapier.
Okay, as you approach it, you can see that the gash that was left in its form by Aja is like smoke is curling out of the gash in its front and kind of escaping from it, and it seems to be wounded by that. So you're gonna come up and stab it with your rapier. Go ahead and roll that attack.
13.
13 does hit.
Thank God. That is 6 damage.
Okay, so you come up, so you run around your friends. They're blinded, they can't see. The only person that can see that what's happening is Hannibal. So Hannibal, past the one that just flew up and is flapping in your face, you see Reggie come up, whip out a rapier, and just jam it through this thing. And as that happens, its entire form dissipates, and in just a burst of smoke, it just disperses into a fairly big, like 5 foot by 5 foot by 5 foot cloud of smoke that obscures that area.
Guys, I think I got it right now.
That smoke is actually harmless. That smoke is not blinding. Doesn't have the cinders and everything in it. It's just harmless smoke, and it is obscures the area. So, like, if someone were to step into that space, you would be completely obscured. You would also not be able to see anything.
Fair enough.
All right. So that one is dead, and that will bring us back up to the top of the round with Aja. You are blinded.
I would like to move maybe like 10 feet out and see what I see.
All right. Well, so moving, the blindness doesn't change with movement. The blindness is like your eyes are stinging and you're just kind of like blinking smoke and embers out of your eyes. So the blindness will last until basically until the end of your turn.
Okay. I'm gonna take a few steps in the direction I think I remembered Hannibal in.
Okay.
And I'm gonna hold my action to see if my vision clears up.
Okay, so you're just gonna move a little bit in that direction. All right, yeah. So
I'll grab one of my hand axes and wait.
Okay. And what's gonna trigger your held action? Just seeing the thing?
Yeah, if I can see the thing.
Okay. That'll bring us to Drusilla. You are also blinded. You heard Reggie. You heard someone move past you, and then you heard Reggie's voice as with a grunt of effort, as then just like a sound of like a poof. And then Reggie said, "I think I got it, guys." But then, yeah, you can't see. Your eyes are still stinging from that smoke and embers that hit them.
You think you got it in your mouth? I got it in my eyes. Help me. And she's going to try and step towards where she hears Reggie and just kind of like try and find him to place herself, get her bearings again.
Okay, make me a perception check to see if you can like feel your way over to him.
It's not good. 9.
Okay, Reggie sees Drusilla just like blindly like grasping at the air and like walk. She's like 5 feet away from you. She didn't make it to you, but she's not far off.
No, just like turn other way. Okay.
This way?
No, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Just you're fine.
Okay. Is that? Would you like to do anything else with your turn other than that was your movement? So.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Hannibal, there is one of these things directly up in front of you.
All right.
Your electrified sickle in your hand.
I'm just gonna bring the sickle down.
Okay. So it comes. So as it flies up to you, you take it and swing and meet it as it reaches you.
15 plus 4, so 19.
That definitely hits. Roll some damage.
So yeah, sickle damage plus the lightning. Mm-hmm. All right, that'll be 4 slashing.
Okay.
And 4 lightning, so 8 total.
All right. How would you like to kill this thing?
Jump off the rock and just bring this thing down through the top of its head. And as I do, I kind of want to pull up and decapitate it.
Okay. So you come swinging down and decapitate it, and as you do, it just disperses into that cloud of smoke. You kind of land inside the cloud of smoke for a second. It doesn't burn your eyes or anything. You're just surrounded.
Is there any chance I could take one of my empty vials and try to capture some of that smoke?
Sure, I'll say you can do that. Yeah.
Cool.
So you kind of capture the vials from everybody else's perspective. Drusilla and Aja, your vision clears pretty much right after this. You can see that like Hannibal landed inside of it, and then the lightning damage discharged, so it looked like a thundercloud. Is just like this black cloud of smoke with bits of blue electricity coursing through it. But it appears for the moment these two are dead. However, you do hear noises from inside the temple echoing through the entrance, just kind of like, and it's getting closer.
I'll approach the group. I'll like leave my cloud and start walking towards where that other cloud is and see if I can find the other 3.
Okay. You are all together. You can see.
Well, that went very well for me, at least.
Very well for us as well.
I pull up my water skin, unclick the bottle, take a swig. It's still there. It's still in there. God damn.
And I bend over and pick up my hammer that I threw and put it back on my belt.
Okay. And just to clarify, that hammer is now not electric.
It's no longer electrified. Yeah, it's just a sickle now.
You need the sickle. Okay.
Yep. Just crackling with electricity.
All right. So the four of you are standing there at the base of the temple. You heard noises coming from the side, similar to the ones that these smoke creatures were making, and then it stops.
Hannibal is going to look on the ground to see if he can find like a stone or a pebble or something.
Okay.
I'm going to pick...
You can definitely find one.
Alright, I'm going to pick it up,
Mhm.
and I'm going to look at it. It's like, you guys want to see something I've been experimenting on in my workshop?
Sure.
Depends.
While you've been trying to run away and escape like babies?
Well, I haven't been trying to do that.
Yeah, I haven't either, Hannibal.
I don't know who you're talking about.
And I'm going to pick up the stone, and I'm going to use Artificer Magical Tinkering.
Okay.
So basically, I just need to use like one of my tools. I'm going to use my Tinker tools on my glove, and I'm going to touch this little stone, and I'm going to use the effect, the object continuously emits your choice of an odor or nonverbal sound.
Okay.
So I'm going to make it, see if I can duplicate the sound of that, like the sounds those things are making, and chuck it like as far as I can into the building.
Okay, so you're gonna like line yourself up and throw it through the doors?
Yeah.
Okay. So you throw it through the doors, and as it passes, as this sound, like it's like making the sound as it flies and passes through, and as it does, you hear just from inside the door, like on either side of the doorway on the inside, as if the two creatures are hiding there. You hear, "Bah!" And then two bursts of some kind of gas. It doesn't quite look as dark as the smoke you saw the other one exhale. It looks to be a more of a gray and billowy texture as opposed to the curling smoke, but it blasts out from both sides of the door, flying towards the middle as the rock passes through it, harmlessly doing nothing.
Well done, Hannibal. We know where they are.
And I'll say that the sound is, it says that the sound is perceivable, or the phenomenon is perceivable up to 10 feet away.
Okay, all right. So yeah, they hear it coming 10 feet away, blast this, whatever these cones are at it, and then it tumbles inside, and then silence again.
Now what do we do?
Perhaps we should go around to the back since they are expecting us from the front.
That's... I think there is.
So you know there's closer up now you can see there's these very large, probably were at one point stained glass windows that start about 10 feet off the ground and then go up to where the ceiling was, probably about 40 feet off the ground. So the opening is 10 feet off the ground, and they line the entire wall. But then they stop with about a 30-foot deep section at the very back that you can see smaller windows in, and you're not sure, there might be a door over in that direction as well that leads into sort of the more segmented off like building type section, as like rooms and maybe living quarters type thing, as opposed to like the main chamber.
Okay.
Someone could go in through the windows and maybe try and flank them.
I has an idea. It might not be a very good idea, but I think it should work.
Well,
Let's hear it.
So are we still at the front door, or are we moving towards the back?
you tell us.
Oh, okay.
Good idea.
So I'm going to say, I think I can make some sort of field for us to sneak through this doorway so that creatures can't see us coming in.
Okay.
But it's got about a certain radius to it. But if I use it, my wonderful little sickle here is no longer electrified.
If this helps, gives you any context, the doorway itself, it looks like it was originally set for 2 double doors. It's kind of like an M-shaped arch now, where you could see like it was like a pair of curved double doors would have fit in there, but since they're now gone, it's just one open archway with like a peaked middle.
Okay.
And it's about 15 feet wide.
Oh, fantastic. Alright, do you all think you could trust me, then? Even though I have samples of all of your skin?
Disregarding that,
Reggie kind of absently rubs his arm. Just kind of like, ow.
But can you put the lightning back on your sickle?
No,
after?
not if I do what I want to do.
Are you okay with not having lightning on your sickle?
Yes, I just don't want to die. I think living is more important than having a static shock-filled sickle.
Do it.
Wunderbar. And I'm gonna aim my white glove with all the gems and tools on it at the doorway. Because I bet it's less than 120 feet away.
Oh, definitely. You're like 30 feet away from it.
All right, and as a Triton, I'm gonna use my my once per long rest trait to cast Fog Cloud.
Okay.
Control air and water. I'm gonna cast Fog Cloud in the doorway, and it's got a 20-foot radius. And it's a 20-foot radius sphere of fog centered on a point within range. The sphere spreads around corners, and the area is heavily obscured. It lasts for the duration, or until a wind or moderate greater speed of at least 10 miles per hour disperses it. I'm going to do that.
Okay. So Hannibal points his finger up towards the doorway, and then from a single point, it's like the air just becomes rapidly more humid, condensing an area, and then until suddenly, poof, like almost like a smoke bomb going off, a 20-foot radius, so almost reaching down the hill to you guys, erupts in fog.
Fog.
And yeah, fog, just nice gentle mist, but completely dense and impossible to see through, fills the entire area, and you can hear a surprise like rock from inside.
Yeah, and I want to get like right in the middle of the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
This 20-foot sphere, and it.
Yeah,
and I do that and go, well, that's that, and then the sickle just sort of like fades out of electricity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's concentration.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And the second part of your plan is what?
We sneak in through the front door. They can't see us through the fog. It's heavily obscured.
Yeah, but we can't see through it either, can we?
You cannot.
Well,
But it'll get you through the door.
inside.
But it gets us through the door without being killed, so...
Let's make haste then.
Okay. Then give me... can I get stealth checks from everybody if you're sneaking through the cloud?
Okay. That is just a 14 for Hannibal.
Okay.
That's a 5.
Wow. Okay.
Us.
Other two?
14.
14?
18.
What was it?
18.
18. Okay, so 14, 14, 18, 5.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna since you're going as a group, I will use the group stealth check rules. So since more than half of you made it, it's a success. So you're making your way through. You're sneaking along. Aja and Hannibal, you're doing a good job sneaking. You're making your way through, creeping through this this fog, making sure to be very, very quiet. Drusilla, you're walking next to Reggie, and out of the corner of your eye, you're just close enough that you can kind of make out his general outline because you're very close together. He's like looking around and goes to turn in a direction, and as he does, you just see the strap on his shoulder slip a little bit, and his loot just goes tumbling off to one side, but with just lightning reflexes, you just reach out and grab it and catch it before it hits the ground, silencing the strings. So Reggie's a very, very faint, as like the slight vibration as you notice too late the loot falling off your shoulder, and Drusilla catches it.
Oh no.
But no sound is made.
Okay, then I lightly grab the loot from her, put it back around my shoulder, and just keep a hand on the strap.
Okay.
Hannibal puts a finger to his lips, well, his non-existent lips, and says, shh, as quietly as he can.
All right. You guys make your way through the door. You can vaguely see the outline of the doorway, and you make your way through. Do you keep going until you exit out the other side of the cloud?
I do.
Okay. So, is everybody, or is it just Hannibal that continues forward?
No, yeah, I think I think we should stick with him.
Oh, yeah. So you make your way out. Looking up, you can see you're in this main temple chamber. You can see these long pew-like benches that long since like rotted and overcome, like the vague shape of them, like on their backs, some of them like at odd angles, vines and creepers overtaking them, for the most part rot having long, gradually decomposing them. There's a raised pulpit at one side, but up above the back wall, you can see that it actually opens up into a loft. The second floor kind of goes back into a loft. That whole back side of the building appears to just be open into this chamber. And as you're looking at that, can I get perception checks from everybody as you're looking up?
That is a 19 for me.
Okay.
16.
16.
A big old 8 from Hannibal.
8, and Drusilla was what?
15.
15. Okay, so everybody that got a 15 or above, you notice slight movement and shadows up in that loft. Roughly probably two shapes up there. So you would guess there is 2 more of them up in the loft section in the second floor. Reggie, with your 19, however, you are also aware that the 2 behind you are still, you can just vaguely hear them and kind of, like, if you close your eyes, place them as you passed by, and identify that they're still flanking the doorway, waiting for you to come through. They have not noticed you pass inside yet. They are still waiting for you to pass through. They still think you're outside.
Good. I silently whisper to the rest of them. It seems we've managed to sneak past them well enough.
Wunderbar. This is why I'm the leader.
So what y'all doing?
Is there like a corner in the room, anything like that? A place that looks to me that might be more defensible than the middle of the room?
You can identify that. Well, so there's the far back side of the room. You would surmise with your experience being, with your background and your experience of tactical expertise, you would probably identify that the back side of the room, where like any speaker or cleric would have presided over the main chamber, is not necessarily the best because it backs up to that loft up top. While it seems like you're getting your back to a wall there, you would actually be essentially, since you've seen these things fly, you would be preparing yourself or kind of inviting an attack from above. Mm-hmm. And then the front side of the room, if you were to put your back against the wall, you're very close to the other 2. So there are 2 rows of large pillars running up and down the main aisle in the center. So those could provide, if you wanted to get your back up against something, those could provide you a good opportunity, or one of the side walls would be your best bet.
Does the loft look defensible?
Potentially, it's hard to see. It's very dark up there, and it looks like it's filled with a lot of ruined furniture, probably difficult terrain. And it would be hard to get up there too, because it's about 30-foot. It's like a 30-foot wall that goes up. It kind of looks like it almost looks like a balcony, and the entrance to that balcony is not in this room. It looks like you would have to go deeper into the building to find your way up, like a set of stairs or anything.
Aja will quietly whisper that we should try and take the 2 by the door first. Perhaps we can surprise them and eliminate them before the 2 above are aware.
Sounds good.
Maybe we could 2 of us take a side.
All right. I'll take the left side.
I will take the right.
Reggie, where do you want to go?
You know where you want
to go. Who went to what side again?
I went to the left.
Okay. I'd probably be most useful like healing Aja if she got injured, so I'll go to the right.
Alright, I'll go to
Actually, no one. Yeah. Oh, he's if. I was gonna say no one has taken damage yet so far. I don't believe. So.
But if.
Right. I missed the if. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Aja and Reggie on one side, and then Drusilla and Hannibal on the other.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have this just big cloud of steam obscuring the 2 of them right now. So what are you doing with that?
what I would, well, I'll explain it in character. What I think we should do is get get close to where we think the two by the door are on each side. If you can dissipate your fog, we may have an opportunity to surprise them.
I gently slap myself on the face and lose concentration on the fog cloud.
Okay, so the fog cloud just vanishes.
Yep.
And they are still staring at the doorway, but you're just kind of standing there in the middle of the room. So you want to act, you have to act like now. Otherwise, they're just going to turn their heads and notice all of you standing.
Could I make a quick sickle attack against one of them then?
You're standing a little bit away.
Oh.
You have to move up to them.
Shit.
Can I cast Vicious Mockery at one of them?
You can't. Okay, so I'll just go around and basically count this as a surprise round.
Yeah.
So the cloud just vanishes. You see, I'll describe what you see real quick as it vanishes. These two, instead of being made of like this black roiling smoke, they seem to be made of more of a grayish white puffy material, and their eyes are glowing a dull purple as they flap their wings. Or actually, they're kind of just like clinging to the wall, ready to attack whatever comes around the corner. And let's just get some surprise rounds. So I think let's see. I think Hannibal, you had something you had ready, or
since I put the sickle away when I lost the electricity, crossbow.
Okay.
And I'm gonna fire a bolt at one of them.
All right, make an attack roll. And I think if there's let me remind myself of how the surprised condition works.
I think it's advantage on the attack, and then if the creature is hit by a surprise attack, they can't take any actions on their turn. I could be wrong, but that's how I've been doing it in our pirate game.
It's just a round. It's just a free round. I don't think there's any like advantage or disadvantage.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm trying to remember because I know rogues get something.
Mm-hmm. They get something particular that gives them advantage if a creature is surprised.
Make sure. Okay. Yes, you're right. So just make the attack then.
I've been doing it wrong the whole time. 12 to hit.
What?
12 to hit.
12 to hit. I think that does. Yes, that does hit.
Oh, thank God, because it's 10 plus 2. Because my. Yeah, not good.
And you're on the left side, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Gotta find a D8.
These things have very low AC.
Where's my D8?
Oh, actually, sorry. Make this. I apologize. Could you roll before you roll damage? Could you roll one more time? These two appear to be. Their forms have appeared to be where the other ones had a very solid edge of their form. These ones appear to have like let go of that, and they almost like are shifting inside of their space. It's very hard to see them. They're very blurry.
So that was higher. It was 12 plus 2, so 14.
Okay. Still hit.
Okay, so
all attacks against them currently have disadvantage.
Okay.
They're under the effects of blur.
Oh, hell yeah. That's 8 damage. So
Okay.
I don't get any modifiers to the crossbow, so it's just straight 8 damage.
You don't have a dex bonus for that?
I have +0 in dex.
Oh, okay. So yeah, just max damage. It flies over and manages to find purchase in that blurry, strange goblinoid shape, and simultaneously, Drusilla was on the left, right, with Hannibal. Okay, so let's go to Drusilla. Simultaneous with that.
Just gonna pull out her boomerang and huck it at the one at the left as well.
Boomerang, that's incredible. It's amazing. All right, so you pull out a boomerang and throw it. Roll that attack.
Well, it was a natural 20 and a 13 plus 2, so 15.
Okay, that does hit.
That is 6 damage.
6 damage. Okay. That one is... That just takes it out, actually. So that one on the left, just a crossbow bolt. It just... And it turns towards you right in time for a... Bam! Boomerang strikes it right in the face and just disperses it. And as it does, it explodes into a cloud of steam. It's, spraying out from that space, like little bits of condensation coming off as it solidifies into water. But no one is adjacent to it, so nothing happens. All right, on the right side, simultaneously with that, Reggie and Aja, what are you guys doing?
I'd like to cast Vicious Mockery on the remaining one.
Okay, so it needs to make a wisdom saving throw?
Yeah, DC 12.
All right, and what is the insult that you are hurling at this thing to damage its psyche?
Screw off, screechy shit.
All right, it rolled a 5, so you do damage.
Yeah, 1d4. That's 4 damage.
Okay, nice. So it hears this insult. It's like has to look around to figure out where it's coming from, and then just like you can see it just get disappointed with itself as you turn towards it, like it hurts it inside. And Aja, what are you doing to follow up?
Running towards its disappointment, I'm going to run up to it and poke it with my glaive.
Okay, are you staying at the 10-foot distance, or are you coming right up adjacent to it?
10 feet.
Okay.
I have a 15 and a 13.
Okay, those both hit.
12 damage.
12. All right, so you come up and you just run your glaive up to it and fine purchase, pass right through it. You feel the glaive glance off the wall behind it, and as it does, you just see another burst of steam. You're right at the edge of it, and you can feel just like this wave of warmth come off of it, and you can tell that if you were standing 5 feet closer, that would have been pretty scalding, but you were standing far enough back that it did no damage to you.
Excellent. Well done, Reggie.
All right. This noise does, with this noise, however, you do hear those sort of squawking noises coming from up in the loft. And right after, just as you finish this, you see 2 more of them come out. These 2 are less, they appear to be a little less wispy than the other ones. They appear to, but at the same time, their edges are a little less defined. They're like almost dripping and more solid, almost liquid-like, dripping with what looks like mud. And as they come flying off the back end of the loft, I'm going to need another roll of initiative from everybody. Okay. Reggie, what is your bonus to initiative?
+2.
+2? Okay. So, let's just do 20 to 15. Cool. 15 to 10.
14.
14. Reggie at a 13. Okay. So 10 to 5.
Oh, God.
5 to 0.
1.
6.
Oh.
Okay. So and Hannibal is last.
Yeah.
So, Drusilla, you are first up. You see these 2 gremlin-like mud creatures with glowing amber eyes come flying off the top of that balcony. So they are 30 feet in the air and about 80 feet away from you. So they are a good distance away.
Did my boomerang return to me, or do I have to go grab that?
I don't know what are the rules about a boomerang? I am very interested to find out.
It just says on a miss, the boomerang returns to the thrower's hand. Nothing about on a hit.
Okay, so in that case, the boomerang, I'm pretty sure, did not return to you.
You need the returning enchantment if you want it to come back on a hit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So so it hit, so it smacked into it and found it when it hit it, it kind of knocked it off balance, so it kind of smacked into it and then just fell to the air. So if you miss, it kind of is able to fulfill its full arc back to you, but on a hit, it gets interrupted.
Dope. Cool. I guess I'm just gonna move towards them.
Okay.
Just
you can use your full movement or you can use your action to dash to get closer?
Yes.
Okay, so you're nearly to it now. You're like it's 30 feet up, you're 20 feet away from the back of the wall, and the 2 of them are just floating up there. That will bring us to Reggie.
Right. What exactly do these things look like again?
They're about 2 foot tall, roughly humanoid with very elongated limbs and features, a very long hooked nose and pointed ears, and then a pair of wings. These ones appear to be made of like mud, however, like kind of this constantly dripping, flowing mud off of it. Like it'll go like it's about to. Anytime like a little glob of it looks like it's about to drip off, it just returns up the other side and starts flowing back up the other side, kind of like a continuously flowing cycle.
Right.
No,
I'm trying to think of an insult versus mockery. Oh boy. Yeah, I got nothing. I'm sorry. I'll cast vicious mockery, but I don't have an insult for it.
I mean, that's fine. You still roll it.
Okay. Sorry. Oh no, you roll actually. Wisdom save.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Wisdom saving throw. Got a 2.
Oh boy. D4. That is another 4 damage.
Okay, take your pick. Left or the one on your left or the one on your right?
One on the left.
Okay, so you said 4 damage again?
Yeah.
All right, so you yell out some sort of insult at it about how, it's nothing but dirt. I don't know. And again, just gets that, aw. This kind of seems to hurt it inside. This will bring us to the two of them. The two of those two will they are going to fly straight out and kind of down at an angle, almost doing a flyby over Drusilla, but outside your reach. One of them stops directly above you, and it just looks straight down about 10 feet above you, and you just hear go, bleh, and then just a giant cone. It's like getting slimed on Nickelodeon, but just with a giant cone of mud just drops down onto you. And can you please make me a dexterity saving throw?
Fucking hate methods.
That is a 16.
Okay, so it's this guy, upside down geyser, like someone just upended a barrel of mud over you, comes dropping down, and you manage to dodge out of the way. You still get splatter up onto your splatters up onto you a little bit, gets you a little dirty, but for the most part you manage to avoid it, and it does not land on top of you. It just kind of spreads across the floor. And the other one is going to spend its movement to dash, and it flies past you. So the one that has been damaged is now closer to the party, but still about 10 feet in the air. And that will bring us to Aja.
Can I reach the one that's 10 feet away? With my...
Well, it's 10 feet in the air, but it is making its way across. It's still making its way across. So you are still about... it's one move. It is currently one movement away from you, so you could, yeah.
All right, I will move to within 10 feet, and I will thrust my glaive upwards and try to hit it.
Okay, so you come right underneath it and just swing up at it with the glaive beneath. So roll it.
13.
13 does hit, yes.
13 damage as well.
Oof, all right. So you do 13 damage. This one appears to be this appears to be much hardier than the other ones. You smack into it, you glaive, and you feel. With the other ones, when you hit them, they just kind of pass through like you're passing through smoke or steam. This one, it sticks a little bit, like you're actually smacking into something solid. So it appears to be a little hardier than the other two.
And then I'm going to move back to where I was.
Okay. Well, so
would it take all my movement to get to it?
Yeah, pretty much took all of your movement to get right up. So you're directly underneath it.
Good enough.
And then Hannibal, up to you.
Which of these guys is the closest to me?
The one that Aja was just swung at, and the one
Cool.
that's taking the most damage.
Hammer time. I'm gonna throw a hammer at it.
Okay, so you huck a hammer at it.
No, that's a 7 to hit.
Okay, just you manage to dodge out of the way of this mud, and as you're looking down at it, you just hear thunk, 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 as a hammer just comes sailing through the air and skids through the mud past you. Anything else, Justin?
Is there anything I can get up and stand on to increase my reach a little bit?
If you wanted to get closer, yeah, I assume you kind of threw that from where you were standing.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. There's some of those, you can try and balance on a rotting bench. It might give out underneath you, but it would give you the reach you would need. It would take it would take an acrobatics check to balance on it.
Yeah, let's do that. Then I'm gonna try to climb up on stand on one of these rotting benches.
Okay, roll me an acrobatics check.
Oh shit! Acrobatics?
Yep.
Just a straight 19.
Wow. Okay, so you run up and manage to find. There's one that's kind of looks like some of these have been moved around over the years, and one of them's kind of like propped up on another one at an angle. So you make your way up the side. You're standing like up on the edge of this thing, balanced right on the edge, but you are within reach of this flying creature now.
Cool. That's my turn.
And you can feel like it's soft and giving way underneath you.
Yeah.
You just managed to find that perfect balance point.
That's my
Drusilla,
turn.
You are back up. You're standing directly underneath one of these. It just dumped a bunch of mud on you, or tried to, and you managed to dodge out of the way of it. And you can see another one kind of dipping and dodging through the air as your friends swing at it.
So it's 10 feet above me, right?
Yes.
So theoretically, if I were to thunder wave up, it would hit, right?
Yes, it would.
Then that is what I'm going to do.
Okay, so you blast a thunder wave up at it. What kind of saving throw is that?
Constitution, DC 13.
Constitution saving throw. All right. It gets exactly a 13.
So I rolled 10, so I think half of that.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
So,
that's yeah.
yeah, so you blast upwards at it, and it's like you can see the mud on it kind of ripple up like away from you in that, like kind of like when you if you were to spray an air hose on a mud puddle, how it would kind of like in waves just kind of ripple away from it, but it doesn't do enough to severely damage it, and it kind of growls down and you're like from above. That will bring us to Reggie.
Right. Okay. So the one I attacked was the same one she attacked, right?
No, the one you attacked is the one that's closest that Aja is
Right.
swinging at, and Hannibal is right up next to.
Right. Okay. So I'm gonna cast Vicious Knock again, and now I actually have an insult.
Okay.
Can you please screw off, you mud-covered midgets? Was that bad?
That was it seems to not be affected by it because that is a 19 saving throw. All right.
No.
So with that, the one above Drusilla, having been blasted up a bit, is just going to dive down at you and just take a swing with its muddy fists.
Ew. That's gross.
Yeah. Let's see. Does it? Nope. Doesn't recharge its mud breath. So it gets a 16 to hit.
That hits.
All right. All right. So that is going to be. It comes down and smacks into you for 4 bludgeoning damage.
Ow.
And then Hannibal, you've come up right next to this one, and it's going to turn and just do the same thing. It's just swing with a backhand with its fist. That is a 19 to hit.
Yep, I have 12 armor class.
Mm-hmm. For 3 damage to you. As it smacks into you. And can you make me a dexterity saving throw?
No.
Okay.
9.
Okay, so it smacks into you. You found that really good balance point, right?
Yeah.
But like when it hits you, it knocks you off balance, and you can't quite find it again, and you go tumbling off of this thing. And you're gonna take another 2 points of bludgeoning damage as you land on your back on the ground.
I'm at half.
Okay. It's still flying there above you. Leaving us to Aja's turn. So Aja, this thing has started to swing at Hannibal, basically punched him off the bench that he was balancing on. He fell off like 5-10 feet that he was balanced up and landed on his back. But it's up there, and it's like dripping mud from the various wounds that you all given it. And
All right, I will twirl my glaive around in just 2 hands and just sink it down.
Okay, well, it's still flying up above you. Hannibal's the one in the ground, unless you're trying to stab Hannibal.
No. He's kind of a tool, but we're not there yet. 14 to hit.
Sorry, what was that to hit?
14?
Yes, that does hit.
Another 10, 13 damage.
13 damage. That one is decidedly dead. So you swing up at it, and it it loses its form entirely and explodes into a burst of sticky mud. Basically, though, up above Hannibal and Aja, so I'm going to need both of you to make me dexterity saving throws.
Yes.
I can hear you.
I was muted on OBS.
Okay.
Would that be with disadvantage? Because I'd probably be prone.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's probably just you just landed, and then you see it just go, and then just this wave of mud come falling down at you.
So that was a natural 20 and a straight 11.
Okay.
So it would be an 11.
Okay, Aja.
Not good. It's 12.
You both actually made it. It was DC 11.
Oh God.
So, Hannibal, you just barely roll out of the way, like you take shelter under the bench you fell off of, and Aja, you just step back as it just and just lands on the ground. The sticky mud that it was made of, but it just kind of covers the ground, and neither of you are impacted by it.
I'll give Hannibal a nod.
And that will make it Hannibal's turn.
Roll out from under the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Use half my movement to get up.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna walk over and pick up my hammer.
All right. So you make your way over to so the hammer's more than.
Oh yeah, it's definitely nowhere near me yet.
So you aimed up at it.
Yeah.
So it kind of like sailed in an arc.
Hold on. I have a really bad idea.
Okay. The other one you can see, Drusilla's fighting this one off as it's coming down and just starts swinging fists down at her. She's alone with it on the other side of the room.
Digging through my coat pockets, pull out a crowbar.
Okay.
And I throw a crowbar at it, improvised weapon.
Okay. It's at like 30 feet, so I'll say I think that's outside the range for an improvised weapon, so make an attack with disadvantage.
Yeah. Okay.
What'd you get?
Natural 1. A 9 and a 1.
Ooh.
Just hucking a crowbar, just.
So Drusilla,
No,
you're
please.
fighting this thing, and then you just barely manage to duck out of the way as a crowbar just goes sailing through the air right past your head. Like it comes within an inch of clipping you in the temple and just clang, 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 and lands on the floor next to you, or a little distance away.
That was my bet. And that's Hannibal's turn.
Okay, Drusilla, your turn. So a crowbar just flew past your face. You're like standing in mud, and this thing is just trying to punch you to death.
Oh, wow. What a situation I find myself in. I think we need to, like, just kind of, put a pin in the crowbar that just came at my head and quarterstaff, try and bat this thing away.
Okay, roll the attack.
My God. That is a 16.
That will hit.
And that's a 1.
For damage?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything added to that?
No.
Okay, so 1 damage. All right. So you take your crowbar, you hold it like a baseball bat, you rear back and you swing and just just smacks into the side of it. You like stop, even though it's in midair. It just like smacks, and you can like leave a little dent in it, but it just kind of looks around like. And that will make it Reggie's turn.
Okay, I'm gonna cast Vicious Mockery again.
Okay.
Hard
Hard or something.
Okay, I'm gonna say I am so sick of you horrid, dirt-ridden bellends.
All right. So wisdom saving throw. Got an 11.
Okay, that's 24. 1 damage.
All right. But it has disadvantage on its next attack roll.
Yes, it does.
All right. With bug bites.
God.
Making it its turn. And it is, well, let's see if it recharges. That's mud breath again. It does not. So it's going to it's liking its chances against Drusilla because, like, after that big baseball swing that it barely felt, and, it got insulted, which is going to impact it a little bit. So it has disadvantage on this attack roll. All right. That is a natural 20 and a 2. So it is like about to, you can see its fist coming like before just the bridge of your nose. Like it is about to impact right in your face. And then you hear Reggie's words echo from across the chamber. And you can just see it just get a little disappointed itself, giving you just the opening you need to just block it with your quarterstaff, and it knocks its fist away and does not do damage.
God bless you, Reggie.
And that will make it Aja's turn. You can see Drusilla like batting at this thing with her quarterstaff on the other side of the room, still just standing there alone in this puddle of mud.
Can I get to her and it?
Yes, you can. And it is hovering down right above her, so it is not 10 feet in the air. It's come down to engage her on ground level.
I would like to get within 10 feet of it and attack it again.
All right, so you come up with that glaive and give it a swing.
That's a nat 20.
Ooh, all right. Are we using am I using channel crit rules?
I mean, if you want to.
They affect you guys too.
They're so good, though.
They are, but they affect you guys too.
That's why it's so good.
I think for the sake of a lower lethality campaign, I think for your sake, I will keep them at the normal crit rules.
Oh, okay.
I do like them, but
I'm a little bummed out. I'd love to know what this is.
Yeah.
So normal. So Justin's crit rules that he has a house rule for crits, which are that instead of rolling and doubling the dice, it's you roll once and take the number normally, but add that to the maximum damage of the dice. So it's the weapon automatically does maximum damage, and then you roll on top of that.
It's really great for inflict wounds.
Yeah.
I bet. Jeez.
That saved someone's life.
That's a total of 13.
13 damage. Okay, so you come up to this thing, and you rush up, and you just, Drusilla, you're fighting this thing. You like just barely manage to keep it from hitting you right in the face, and then all of a sudden you see the blade of a glaive come in and just slam into its side, and it cries out in pain. It's like one of its wings. It's kind of flapping like out of sync at this point. Seems to be very injured, but it is still floating there, still up, and that will bring us to Hannibal. You can see this injured mud creature flapping in the air. Aja just stabbed it, and Drusilla's been batting it with her quarterstaff. Reggie's just been across the room just hurling insults at these things.
I walk towards my hammer.
Okay, you can get to it.
I pick it up.
Okay.
Would you let me throw it?
Yeah.
Cool. 16 plus 4.
Yep, you do the spin, the Thor spin, just to clear the mud off of it.
Yeah, and then
spin it, just smack it up, and yes, a 20 does hit.
1d4 plus 2. Oh, I almost spilled my water. 4 bludgeoning.
All right, it is not looking good at all. Like you smack it, and it's just like part of its face has just like drooped down, like someone took It's like someone took a wax sculpture and took a hairdryer to it. Like it's just looking like it's just starting to droop and melt down one side as it's having trouble keeping its form together. But that will bring us back to the top of the order with Drusilla. It is your friends have come over to you, or at least your squad, your teammates have made their way over to you and helped you out. And this thing is barely holding itself together, floating right next to you. What you gonna do?
Another swing. Hope it hits better than this time.
All right.
It's a 10.
It's a 10. Let me check. They have really low AC. You miss it by 1. So you just barely swing, and it manages to dodge out of the way. Like you swing at some of the mud that's dripping off of it. You manage to catch that and splatter it against the wall. You're like, I got it. Oh no, that was already it. That was okay. And then Reggie, back to you.
Where? Sorry, I'm just looking something up real quick. Right, yeah. So I'm gonna cast Vicious Mockery again. Okay. And I'm gonna say, what the hell is that all over your face? It's just your face, right?
All right. And it gets a 6.
Okay.
Roll the Vicious Mockery damage.
4 damage again.
Please tell me how Reggie insults this creature to death.
Can it just like give up? Can it just lay down and die?
You say that. You say, "What is that all over your face?" Oh, that is your face, and it just. And you can see like globs of mud come down its eyes, like tears dripping off its face, and it just flutters slowly down to the ground, and it lands in the mud puddle that it just puked up all over the ground. And you see it just lay down and just kind of sink into the mud puddle. It just loses form and just allows itself to just lose its form entirely and just sinks into mud and just drifts off, almost like it's sinking into the floor. And it is gone. It is dead.
Oh, I kind of feel bad about that now.
Well, that went horrible.
I mean, not that bad. By the way, Hannibal, you look extremely beat up. You need some healing?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm gonna put a hand on Hannibal's shoulder and cast Cure Wounds.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Yes, that's one spell slot, and the D8 plus 2. Okay, yeah, you get 8 HP back.
Oh, nice. That'll put me back at max. Thank you, Reggie.
I thought that went fairly well.
Yes.
No one died, so...
That is true. And I'm going to walk over and pick up my crowbar and put it back in my coat.
Okay.
Sorry about almost hitting you with my crowbar.
Just watch where you throw it next time.
No reply.
All right. So, you all are, as you're all standing there, you can see the skiff from up above where it was just kind of hovering over the temple. It flies over to one side, swoops down, and lands in front of the doors, and the gangplank comes down in your direction. Seems the test is complete.
Well, we don't have to hold it after all.
Oh, I think that stone is still screaming. Or making that sound, yeah. I'm going to look how long that takes.
Okay.
Did you say like an hour? 10 minutes?
The chosen property lasts indefinitely.
Okay. Just continuously, just screaming.
Hannibal.
But only within 10 feet. You can only hear it if you're
Yeah.
within 10 feet. So from here, it's just like very, very, very faint. Just the edge of your
Can I
head.
keep that rock?
Sure. Give it to me first. I need to make sure it's safe and not going to kill you.
Alright, I pick it up and toss it.
I take it, and as soon as he tosses back to me, I cancel the indefinite screaming on it and toss it back to Reggie.
Okay. You catch it, and it's no longer screaming.
Well done,
I
everyone.
turn around and walk away. I just walk toward the gangplank.
Okay.
That could have gone better, I think.
That could have gone worse. Just a small point of feedback. The intent with the plan was to get closer to them before you dropped your fog away. It was a bit premature.
That's fine. And Hannibal's going to walk over to the mud and just scoop some mud up.
Okay. All right, so you've all passed your test, and you can see, Grantar and the others waiting for you on the skiff. You guys head over to exit?
I think so.
Okay, so you make your way over. You can see them all waiting for you. Standing there. Arena is at the top of the gangplank, just smiling her pleasant smile, excitedly waiting for you all to come up. And as you walk, her saying, well done, you've done it, you've passed. And Grantar, standing in the back, towering in that long cape, just says, indeed, you've successfully managed to pass the exam.
Was there any doubt?
You've successfully managed to pass the exam.
Did we do better than those mouthy people, the big meat thing and the loud, obnoxious one?
I will have to give it some consideration, though you both did manage to succeed on your both try, and neither of you did need to engage in the services of our guest here. And he gestures at the elf standing off the side, which is good. To critique your strategy somewhat.
Please.
Oh, here we go.
Please do, sir.
The decision to send a scouting team forward to assess your enemy was a good strategy. You attempted to gain information about the situation and use it to your advantage. However, this fell apart when your scouting team was found and chose to make a break for the temple. Now, the quick thinking of Aja to engage the enemy outside the temple, I noticed, prevented you from making your way inside, which you can only guess, if you had come stomping in through the doors, would have only caused you to encounter the guardians inside the temple and their scalding breath as you came through the doors, forcing you to engage 4 enemies at once as opposed to 2. Luckily, that was salvaged by fighting them 2 at a time, and after that you made good use of your stealth and advantageous amount of knowledge, and then engaged the other 2 on even footing, which could have been avoided, but at your circumstances at that time, would have been difficult to do so. Overall, well done.
Hannibal takes a deep bow.
Yeah, it would have been bad if you guys had decided to, after you, because they were Justin correctly identified them as methods. If you had been fighting the smoke, if like you had tried to run past the smoke methods through the door, the steam methods would have just hit their steam breath. God. As you came through, they would have rolled into initiative and you would have fought 4 of them at once. And with enough noise, the mud methods would have flown down and joined in after a couple of rounds. So like you could have potentially been fighting all 6 of these at once. It's just that you did manage to break it up and fight them 2 at a time. So, good job. As he's saying this, the skiff is taken off and you're heading back towards the Enclave. And he says, and with that, you have successfully passed your final test. You are now able to leave the Enclave as you choose. You may visit the nearby village if you'd like to celebrate, as the first team this morning has chosen to do. However, when it comes to your first assignment location, you'll need to return in order to be sent to wherever you choose to begin your hunt. You will have time to research locations and determine where you think is the best place to begin in your search for your first illithid kill.
Wunderbar.
For now, though, you may rest. And you're flying over the trees. I don't know if any of you want to do anything, talk to anyone, say anything during the trip back.
Nope.
Okay.
Should I just like sit next to Hannibal and glare at him the entire time?
You can, yeah. Just.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you can see
with Drusilla.
Okay. Yeah, you can see the Grantars standing there, just kind of passively watching out over the trees, while the other 2 robed individuals stand on either side of him. You've got Arena's looking happy, but also just kind of quietly watching the scenery go by. And then the elf that was there does not go back and stay with the clearing, just kind of sticks around and stays on the skiff and enjoys the view, just kind of casually leaning back against the railing. A lot less of a formal attitude on this person than on all of the Gith that are present with you.
Drusilla, that went well, I think. You fought well.
You fought well as well. You definitely saved our asses quite a few times.
It was a team effort, at least for some of us. Give a pointed look over at Hannibal. I know that you don't want this, but I thought it went well, all things considered.
It did go well, and between you and me, and she'll kind of lean in and whisper so only Adja can hear, just like, to be honest, I kind of like you better than I like the boys, anyways.
Aja will shoot a glance over at Hannibal and say, I think there are things under rocks you may like better than that one.
I like many things under rocks. They're part of nature, and kind of my stick.
Aja will chuckle.
I'm just imagining, like, the entire time these two are having their heart-to-heart, I'm just glaring at Hannibal for not giving me a rock.
Okay, and Hannibal, you have your bottle of smoke and your vial of smoke and vial of mud.
And I'm writing in my journal, but I'm writing in primordial.
Okay, all right. So, very strange, angular, blocky symbols that no one else. I don't think anyone else can read on this ship. Well, among the party anyway. All right, and as you all come back around and you come in for a landing in the landing field, and Grantar and the other two will get off first and just head towards this pyramid. He's probably you're aware that the other tests your test was the last one for the day, so the other ones will start tomorrow. So he's probably going to rest and prepare. And the elf on the skiff just kind of looks around all of you and just goes, "Very nice meeting all of you. Congratulations on your graduation."
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, lady.
I will be going home now. And she just turns on the spot, and like as she turns around, it's almost like she's going around an invisible corner and just vanishes.
Bye.
Oh, I think I should learn how to do that.
Arena will say, well, that would be quite difficult, given that it is something that her people can do innately.
Right. And I head off to the workshop laboratory. I just walk away and head towards that.
Okay. So what was that?
Will you tell me more about her people?
Oh yes. Well, and she starts like walking down the gangplank, and she kind of like walks beside you. She says, she is Lord Sir Grantar commissioned her to aid in the graduation. We have good relationships. Her people are the Eladrin of the Feywild, and they have the important ones, as far as I understand, have the ability to enter and exit the Feywild more or less at will. And she specifically is among their order of chronomancers, those that deal in the magic of time. Specifically, she was, well, I don't entirely understand it, but from what I understand, she was enclosing the clearing in some sort of spell that would allow her to turn back time to the beginning of the trial. So if, for example, one of you were to have died, or all of you were to have died, she could have reverted it back to the beginning and you could have tried again.
Have any groups died?
Not so far, no. But just in case, we want to make sure we can see how you will behave in a fully dangerous and potentially lethal circumstance, but we don't want you dying on us, because that would be very unfortunate.
A waste of resources and time, as you have said.
Well, also, just it wouldn't be a very nice thing to happen. She kind of dodges the question. Well, this time is now yours. You can go into the village if you would like. You can spend some time here. Whatever you would like to do.
Do they have a tavern in the village?
I believe they do.
I need a drink after that. And he walks off.
All right. Yeah, and she's congratulations again to all of you. And then she'll head off towards the main pyramid. And you are all left to do. So Hannibal went into his workshop. Reggie is heading into the village towards the tavern. Aja and Drusilla, what are you two up to?
I think I'll head into into town with Reggie.
Okay.
Same. We have an outing.
All right. So, yeah, you all will head. So the three of you then just kind of start walking down the jungle path towards the village. Hannibal, you stay and you're tinkering in your workshop. Is there anything you're working on in particular during this time?
Yeah. First off, I'm gonna see what happens if I mix the mud. I know it's not. Hannibal probably doesn't know their methods, but he's gonna try to mix the smoke with the mud and see what happens.
Okay. What tools are you proficient in again?
I'm proficient in alchemist supplies, thieves' tools, and tinker's tools.
Okay, alchemist supplies. So roll me an intelligence check with your alchemy supplies to see how that goes.
Okay. Okay. Oh no. That is a 6.
Okay. So you kind of you lay out you've kind of got like a full alchemy lab set up here. So you've got a lot of things to work with. And you take the mud and you like lay it out in like a shallow dish, and then you gently just kind of pour the smoke on top of it, and then try and like mix it down into it. But it kind of like, as you're mixing it around, just kind of the smoke just kind of keeps drifting off the sides and eventually dissipates and like doesn't really do much. You kind of lose the smoke.
I knew that would happen.
Thinking about it like after the fact, you come up with a better plan. You're like, next time if I really wanted to try and infuse these, maybe like something where I could suspend the mud and then like heat up the smoke underneath it to bubble it up, like bubble the smoke up into the mud from underneath might have been a better way of doing it, but this way clearly didn't work.
All right. Then at this point, I would just take out another one of my vials, which I have written here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I would take just a vial of jellyfish stingers.
Okay.
And try making a sort of like coating for weapons out of them, like to get that stinging property that jellyfish have.
Okay. All right. Make me another alchemy set check for that one.
How is it another 6? 4
Okay.
plus 2.
All right. So you're working on it. Wait, are you adding your intelligence modifier to that?
Oh, hold on. Yeah, I am. I'm rolling 4s. I don't know how to use tools.
So it's you add your proficiency bonus and the intelligence modifier.
Oh, yeah, 6. I think.
Okay.
What would be proficiency at first level?
2.
2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah. So 2. Oh, it'd be 4. Okay, 8.
Okay. Still not great.
No.
Same effect for the first one. Yeah, you're working at you don't use up all of the jellyfish stinger you have in this. You're using just a little bit of it, but yeah, you're trying to figure out a way to make it. Really, at this point, you're trying to figure out a way to alchemically make it sticky,
Yeah.
so that it will stay on the blade and won't just like slide right off. But one thing you're having trouble with is any compounds you're trying to put into it that make it sticky seem to also completely neutralize the stinger. Like there's this kind of dual property of it with the chemicals you're using, where it's like, aha, I made it. It's sticky. It will stay on there, and that completely wiped out all of its damaging properties. So now it's just, I made glue.
All right, I get angry and just throw a vial of some random liquid at the wall.
Okay. And from like further down on one of the workbenches, you just hear it's like, "Oh yeah, that looks like some real good science down there."
I shall use science. Then I cut off your face and wear it like a mask.
So just to review, the steps of the scientific method are hypothesis, followed by experimentation, followed by like just goes through the steps of the. It's like, so I'm not sure exactly what was the hypothesis of that experiment.
How far? Okay, what's her name? What's her name again?
Her name is.
Because I need to add it to my enemies list.
Okay.
All right, what'd you say the name was?
Cohis. Cohis.
Okay. Okay, how far away is her desk that she's sitting at?
Currently, she's working at a bench, probably like 20 feet away from you.
20 feet?
Yeah.
I cast Mage Hand.
Okay.
And just knock everything off her desk.
So just a spectral hand appears over her desk and just goes, just starts just smacking things off like an angry cat. And she's just like, she was working on something like very delicate with one of those like brass arms that comes up and has like the multiple magnifying glasses down. She had like a pair of tweezers.
Yeah.
And all of just like bang, 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 clank. Really? Really?
I had no idea who did that. I saw this like little gnome run in here and go, and then he ran away. I think I need a drink, and I'm just gonna leave and head towards the village.
Okay, she starts cleaning up the stuff you just knocked on the floor. Just gunpowder scattered across her desk.
You shouldn't be laughing this hard at that. But...
And yeah, make my way to the village.
Okay, so you're all heading to the village. Hannibal's just like an hour behind you. So you're walking along. It's getting towards dusk at this point. It's probably night. It's probably dusk by the time you arrive at the village. And you're walking along this dim, winding jungle path. It's pretty much just a dirt path, just packed down from traffic. Probably started as an animal trail that people found and then gradually kept on using. This is the same path that's used to bring minor supplies and food and things from town that you need. For the most part, you get skiffs coming in shipments from the Githyanki proper for a lot of things, but for little incidentals like food and stuff, you just get that from in town. You're also aware that the time does not pass on the astral plane. So Githyanki normally, when they live on the astral plane, do not age. They do not need to eat. They do not need to sleep. They don't need to drink. And they have no material needs. So when they arrive, a lot of the food and things that's being brought in is probably some of the most expensive food that can be found. So over the past 2 years, you've been eating very, very, very well. Because Githyanki appear to be very wealthy, and they don't eat by necessity unless they're on the material plane. So when they do eat, they want it to be an experience. So, and you kind of benefit from that because like they don't get food otherwise. So a lot of food has been coming from this village. But you make your way through. You come out into the tree. This is a very, very, very dense jungle region. So a lot of these villages are kind of nestled into the jungle and like spaces within the trees, but are otherwise more or less surrounded by just walls of trees. This one has a small stream running through it. That little footbridges cross over. The architecture here is not at all like that of your enclave. It's not stone buildings. Because your enclave is a bunch of stone pyramids with a bunch of snake iconography on it. This appears to be more simple wooden buildings, with thatched roofing. More or less, for the most part, they're propped up. The smaller ones, at least, are propped up on stilts a couple feet off the ground. From the past 2 years, you get a lot of water and flooding and rainfall through here, especially in the rainy seasons. So keeping them propped up is a good idea, especially because a lot of these aren't necessarily the sturdiest structures, and so flood would be very susceptible to flooding if they were on the ground. But one of the larger buildings in town that has a stone and masoned foundation, so it's set into the ground and larger, is the tavern, which you all would be able to see pretty much directly in the center of town, with a big peaked roof made of laid out fronds from local plants, dried out and kind of attached together. So yeah, you can head inside. There's, as you go in, it's getting a little more populated in here. Some of the people from the local farms nearby out in the jungles come in to visit. And as you come in, all of you draw attention, not like stares or anything, but you are noticed as you come in.
Looking around, I'm curious, do we see any of the individuals from the group we passed this morning?
You do not, actually, no.
Okay.
You see... oh, yeah, go ahead.
I walk up to the bar and ask for a round for me and my friends.
Okay. You see the bartender standing up there. It's very warm, very humid at this place. Everyone's pretty much just wearing like very kind of rough homespun clothing, very frequently without sleeves. This person has like is completely bald with just like what appears to be some sort of piece of cloth tied around their head, almost like a sweatband. And you would have this place does actually have a language that is not common, which I think you're all from regions where like common would have been spoken, but this is way deep in the jungle. There is a local dialect that you would have, over the course of the past 2 years, just by necessity picked up enough to get by. So you'd be able to order in this language, and but for the most part, a lot of the chatter around the room is moving too quickly for you to really keep up with. You're like at a, second year Spanish class level of understanding for the local language.
How does money work? I mean, I assume that we don't have any, and
you would have whatever money you like, whatever is your starting gold, basically whatever you had from the beginning. You haven't had occasion to spend it.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 15 gold from my entertainment background.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So whatever your starting gold was, you still have it. You haven't had reason to spend it for the past 2 years, but you've still had it with you. So you probably, you might have gone. We didn't really cover it, but you guys might have gone back to your sleeping quarters and like gotten out of your things from your room found from like 2 years ago, your little bit of money that you had to be like, oh, I can actually spend this now. And it seems like while money is stamped differently all over the place, the general acceptance of gold, silver, and copper is prevalent. They're different shapes, but for the most part, sizes and weights of gold, silver, and copper are accepted, and it doesn't really matter what shape they are. So your money is still good here.
Okay.
So you can order a round of drinks for the three of you. They have so they have some local drinks. They have like some of these might be a little unfamiliar to you. Like they have, for example, a rice wine and a liquor distilled from coconut water.
Can I ask the bartender how much their best drink costs?
He says a few things in the language that you lose track of what he's saying, and then he goes and walks away, and he comes back with a very fine blue glass bottle that sort of bulbous at the bottom and tapers to the top, with what appears to be a almost like bamboo casing around the bottom. And he holds it out to you and shows it to you. And from inside, you can see a very dark liquid, and then the number that is thrown out that you kind of like catch as he's explaining it. The number of 10 gold pieces gets thrown out.
I can pay that. Yeah, I'll take 10 gold out of my pouch and give it to him in exchange for the bottle.
Yeah.
And ask for 3 glasses.
Okay. He will actually. He hands you. So first he pulls up onto the bar because this is actually in this rainforest. Bamboo is actually very prevalent. So he actually pulls out 3 cups that are basically made of a segment of bamboo that's been chopped off, and a piece has been attached to the bottom to make a cup.
Wow.
You can specify. You can see he has some very few actual glasses you could probably request, but the ones that he presents to you first are just these sort of hollowed out bamboo shoots.
Would you two prefer glass, or you good with the bamboo?
I'm fine with bamboo.
Sounds good.
All right, yeah, I'll pour I'll pour enough into the 3 glasses.
Okay. So yeah, you pour it out, and it's a very sweet-smelling brown liquor, very thin, very, very strong and pungent. As you pour it out into each of them.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Reggie.
Yeah. I hold up my glass and to finally being able to leave that goddamn tomb.
To leaving.
Leaving.
How strong is it?
It varies. It's basically a very well-made rum. With
pretty sure Reggie's never had alcohol before, so he's gonna start coughing.
Yeah, like yeah. To you, it tastes like paint thinner.
Oh God. Okay, I'm fine.
Whereas Aja, you're used to like stuff that could be used like as a secondary use to strip paint off of speedboats. So you're just like, oh yeah, you can taste some more of the subtleties to it. This is a much higher quality than you're used to.
Excellent choice, Reggie. Most excellent.
And Drusilla, I don't know what your experience with alcohol is.
I'm gonna do that thing where you like take a tiny sip and then just kind of put it back in the glass. Like,
just
good choice.
Yeah. So you can sit down. You can see people walking around, talking to each other. It seems to be a lot of like farmers, pretty much farmers and locals in here staying in. You get the feeling that, well, when you were flying over, you didn't see a lot of farms. You would guess that the farms in this region are probably not terribly many like open fields, and are probably more things that grow in groves and in almost like orchards, just because of the dense, overbearing nature of the jungle. Harder to keep a field cleared here.
Is there anyone that looks interesting in the tavern?
Let me see, actually. Yeah, actually, so you see someone who appears to be you see someone who appears to be a woman that appears to be a priestess of some kind. She's wearing what looks to be a bit more formal attire with robes that kind of almost like robes that kind of flare out at the sleeves, just like get wider as you go towards the wrist, and then kind of come down into just a straight bottom, like almost skirt-like bottom. And she's sitting at one table. She's wearing a 4 medallion necklace, or it's like got 4 of these medallions spaced at even intervals, and you can see on them, you can see different symbols. One is more or less rectangle. One of them is just like a pretty blocky looking rectangle. Another of them is a curling symbol that seems to almost look like fire. And then another is just absolute. It looks like it was like when all these look like, if the other two looked like they were carved in, this last one looks like it was just randomly smacked with a hammer at odd intervals and just has these odd dents and scratches and things in it, though they're like, it's preserved as part of it as though it was intentional. And then the last one just has a circle that has been like each of these, all of the areas that have been like kind of carved in have also been filled in with some sort of dark resin to kind of make it stand out from the rest of the bronze-like metal. The last one appears to just have a circle on it filled completely in with the dark resin, so it's like basically forms just like a black circle. And she's just sitting there sipping something steaming out of a cup.
Why on earth would anyone drink something hot in this place?
Cools you down.
I guess.
Can I roll a religion check to see if I recognize the symbols?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, that's not great. Religion. Oh, that's a 7.
Yeah, no, it is. It would be, yeah. You're not entirely sure, especially because you're from so far away from where you are right now that just the seclusionary, isolationist nature of this place makes it so that lore in general doesn't make it very far out of here. And then it's just so far away that, like, even if it wasn't, it's completely foreign to you.
Is she sitting at a table or at the bar?
She's sitting at her own table, just by herself, off to the side by one wall.
Are there other seats there?
Yeah, there's one across from her.
I'd like to walk up to the table and say to her, "Is this seat taken?"
And she just kind of looks up at you from her cup, and she says, she hears you speaking common, and then she pauses for a second, thinks, and says, "No, you may sit if you want."
All right then, and I sit down in the seat.
She, seeing you sit down, she thinks for a second. She places down her cup, and then she reaches up and she just kind of runs a hand along the 4 symbols, and then you see just a slight trail of magic off her fingers, and then she nods, picks up her cup, and says, she says something in a language you do not understand.
Can I roll an insight check?
But you don't understand the language, but you suddenly get complete meaning out of everything she says.
Oh.
As if you do understand it.
Okay.
Since she just cast tongues.
Okay then. What did she say?
She basically said, so, how can I help you?
Well, I saw those symbols around your neck and I couldn't recognize them. I was just wondering what they were for.
She chuckles a little and says, "You must be from a good distance away."
That I am, yes.
These are the symbols of the 4 sorcerer kings, the 4 chosen.
Do I know what those are?
Given your religion check, probably not. You do know that this entire region of jungle is known as the land of the sorcerer kings, though.
Okay then.
So, probably important.
Yes, the sorcerer kings. They're pretty great. Who are they?
They are the. You are from a distance away. They are the chosen. Those chosen by the divine will to wield incredible magical power on behalf of us, their people, their citizens. They are our 4 kings, well, and queens, I suppose. They are chosen by birth. They come to us every generation, and we find them through their absolute power. They are and she points at each of them in turn: the chosen of stone, the chosen of flame, the chosen of chaos, and the chosen of shadow.
Oh. I assume you're a priestess of the chosen, though.
I am, yes.
By the way, how old does she look?
She looks to be probably in her late 60s, a bit of an older woman. Her gray hair is pulled back into a very neat knot behind her head.
I haven't been in many taverns, but I don't really remember seeing priestesses as a common thing.
Well, it is a place to sit and speak with people and obtain food. We need we need interaction and food and drink as much as anyone else, do we not?
Oh, of course, but it's just you don't see it often.
Perhaps not where you're from. Yes. The 4 chosen, you should know, the 4 chosen also each rules 1/4 of these lands. You are currently within the lands of the chosen of shadow.
Shadow. You said they're chosen at birth. How exactly are they chosen?
Well, the first were chosen well, we don't know exactly how. We know that many generations ago, we prayed for salvation from a great evil, and we were gifted by 4 heroes, strengthened by magic within their blood, who rose up and delivered us from this evil. And since then, they have been reborn to us every generation, empowered by the magic within their blood, each chosen by a specific type of magic.
Yes, well, I stand up and hold my hand out, sir. It's been wonderful speaking to you. I'm Reggie, by the way.
It's been very nice meeting you. And she shakes her hand.
And I walk back to the other two.
Okay. So the two of you just saw Reggie speaking with this priestess woman over to the side and then come back over to you.
That was an enlightening conversation.
Do tell.
Were you aware that there were chosen kings? Like 4 of them, to be exact?
Not a clue. Never heard of such a thing.
Seems rather interesting to me. I wonder if they have any tones about it back at the Enclave.
One of the things that we are going to be asked to do next is figure out where to go. Researching such matters is maybe that would be useful to know, Reggie.
And apparently we're in the lands of the chosen of the shadows. That doesn't sound considerably appealing.
Agreed. A thought occurs. Excuse me 1 second, and Aja would like to go back to the bar.
Okay. Yeah, you can make your way over.
Find the bartender.
Mm-hmm.
A question, sir, madam, whichever it is.
Sir,
if I may.
Mm-hmm.
One of my companions is not here, and I'd like to get him something to bring back. Would that be possible?
Yeah. And again, there's a little bit of a language barrier here, but you managed to get this meaning across. So they basically say yes.
I'm looking for something. How do you say? Caustic, foul. Something that perhaps could be used to, say, strip paint or something similar.
Yeah, you say it, and they kind of they nod, and then they walk away for a second. They go down into a cellar, and then come back and bring up a they bring up a very plain, rough green glass bottle filled with a liquid. It's hard to tell the color exactly.
What is this?
Through a little bit of back and forth, you're able to get the meaning. This is wood alcohol.
Excellent. How much?
This is like literally used to strip paint, so like 1 gold piece.
Purchased.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
DM, on the way into town, did I notice if there was maybe like a mechanist shop or like a apothecary?
Apothecary, you probably it would have been things don't appear to be like labeled in this town. It seems like they don't get a lot of travelers, so they don't really have a need for signs or anything. But you would guess that you'd probably find an apothecary in town.
Can I ask the bartender?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to walk up and say, my good man, do you know if there's a mechanist shop or an alchemy shop around here?
Sorry, the first one you said was a mechanist shop? You said the first one was a
mechanist, yeah.
Yeah, he shakes his head at the mechanist thing, not even really quite sure what that is. You would be like, from where you grew up, like mechanical type things were a fairly new area of study. In close to the area where you grew up, it seems it hasn't made it very close over here. So he's just seems confused by this.
I was hoping I could get a blueprint for Hannibal or something.
Apothecary, though, he tells you you get the idea of the place where you can buy like herbs and medicines and poultices and things like that.
Yeah, I can tell Hannibal when we get back.
Okay. All right. So you're sitting around. You're all enjoying your drinks for a little bit. After some time, Hannibal, you're coming down the path, walking, and you're approaching the edge of town. When as you're like coming down the jungle path, and as you out from one side in the jungle, you just hear a psst, psst, Hannibal, psst.
I look over. Yes, what you want?
Right. You see, like, crouched in the woods, you can see Dinar and Erit from the squad that came into the village, like, hiding in the jungle, and both of them actually look fairly injured. Like, they've got dried, like, Dinar has dried blood running down the side of her face, and Erit is holding her side. It looks like there's a place in her armor where she was, like, did receive an injury, but has since been healed. The two of them are crouched, and they like are gesturing for you to come over to them.
I cautiously stroll over.
Okay.
One hand on my sickle, one hand on my hammer, because I forgot I have 2-weapon fighting. So.
Nice. And they are, they both look apprehensive. But Erit will say, the lizard folk, Erit will say, "Where are your friends?"
I think they went to the tavern. I wouldn't really call them friends more than...
You're gonna make that correction now.
Experiments? Not experiments, maybe more like reluctant associates.
Whatever they are. They're in the tavern, you said.
Yeah?
Well, you should warn them. The 4 of us were attacked in town.
By what?
They were locals, people. Their faces were covered.
Wunderbar. What was their faces covered with?
Cloth. They wore masks. They took Kurt and Mugs. I think they intend to ransom them.
Oh, that's not very good. Why are you hiding then? Are you hiding from the masked folk?
Dinar will say, yeah, well, they tried to take us too, but we managed to get away. We were injured though, and they took our friend, the other 2, and yeah, so we didn't want to get caught.
So they took, this is out of game talking, they took Kurt and they took...
Mugs.
Was Mugs the meaty guy?
Yeah.
The meathead, and then Kurt was the Goliath wizard? Okay.
Yep.
He's like, wonderful. So just before I go tell these associates of mine what's going on, how well did you guys do in the exam?
Pretty good.
I think we did better, but I guess this is no time for rivalry. I don't want to get kidnapped myself, so out of my own self-interest, I guess I should go probably tell the others.
Yeah. And Erit will say, and if you, you should go warn the others, and then if you wouldn't mind coming back, there's something we need to ask you.
Wonderful. I can do that. Sure. I'll run off to tell them, and then I'll come right back.
All right, we'll wait here.
And yeah, I guess I'll just walk towards the tavern.
Okay, it's not hard to find. It's probably one of the bigger buildings in town, right in the center as you come in through that.
And I Aragorn push the doors open like he does in Two Towers. Just.
Okay, you enter in. Yeah, you can see the other 3 members of your squad sitting around a table with a bottle in the middle, just chatting, having a good night.
Do we see Hannibal walk in?
You do. Hannibal draws a lot more stares from the room. Like, you're all like, you've got like, 2 half-orcs, and like you draw some attention. You're a little green, and you look like foreigners. Hannibal, though, they're just like some people. What?
Mutated. He's mutated Triton. I look around. Do I see any masked figures?
No, you do not.
I walk over the table, still very clutching tightly on my hammer and sickle. Yes, I have something to say very important. I don't want to listen to any of you right now.
Glad you could come.
Yes, hold on. So I found 2 members of the other squad hiding in the bushes. They were attacked by masked figures, and apparently these masked folk who live in this here village, from what I gathered, kidnapped the Goliath, the big Goliath man Kurt, and they kidnapped the big meaty brute Mugs. And apparently they want to kidnap us, or kidnap you 3 and ransom you. Just letting you know, I have to go talk to them again.
Wait. Hold a moment. This seems strange to me.
Yes, it seems strange to me as well.
I don't think perhaps we should just go involve ourselves. Why don't we?
Well, partially, I think that they killed their own teammates. That's just what I'm going off with, and they want to kill me too for some reason.
I mean, fair enough.
Talking
Lots of
about
people
this
probably do want to kill you, and I can
Go
understand.
at the back or something. We'll talk about it.
There's people in here. If we go out to the back, we could get jumped by said people. We're surrounded by people
But some
inside.
people in here
They're
are
not masked figures, so they said they got attacked by masked figures. I feel pretty safe.
Why don't we just tell what's his name? Your dad.
Well, he's your
Our
dad
dad.
too.
Our dads, technically.
I mean, why don't we let him deal with it himself and send his soldiers to rescue this investment? I see no reason to involve ourselves.
Well, I have a plan if they do decide to attack me.
But there's no necessity.
Hang on.
Just think of how good we'd look if we saved the other group that did so well during their exam.
And I don't really feel very good about just leaving people to possibly die. So
I think these people are quite safe, and I would assume that the villagers have no interest in attacking their own, only outsiders from the Enclave.
That's just why we should go help those 2.
I don't think we need to do it at all. We can simply notify... What's his name? I'm sorry, I've forgotten. Grantar, and let him deal with it. There's no need to become involved.
Maybe we can...
Where'd you see those 2?
In some bushes. Do you know what bushes are, Reggie?
Where were the bushes?
Probably in the jungle. Or in some sort of foliage. That's generally where bushes lie.
Then why wouldn't they just go back themselves and notify Grantar?
I think they're worried. I don't know. I didn't ask a lot of questions. I just said, okay, I don't care. I must go protect my associates. And hopefully that's, I don't get kidnapped out of my own self-interest.
Then why don't we go back to the Enclave, notify Grantar, and leave it there?
I abruptly get up from the table. Okay, if you guys are going to keep arguing, I'm going to go find those 2, help them out. Cool, and I leave.
He's going to die violently.
Shut up!
What say you, Drusilla?
I am going to die horribly, though. That's not up to debate.
What do you think, Drusilla?
I think it's pride stopping them from going back to the Enclave because they did so well in their test, and yet they fell victim to an attack by masked villagers.
See, that's what I'm saying. I say we kill them in the bushes and eat their bodies. That was a joke, everyone?
Maybe later.
God damn it. Okay.
I do think we should notify Mr. G because him and the villagers are better equipped than us.
I agree.
I should not have laughed that hard at that.
That is probably a good idea. I don't want to die for other people.
So let's go get Reggie. Go back to the Enclave.
No, he's lost. Reggie's dead now. We can leave him in the woods.
Well, on the off chance that he's not.
I'm guessing I might be the only chaotic character, maybe.
Why don't we go find Gruntar, let him know, and if he wants us to intervene, or even if you wish to offer. But I think walking in there without telling him is foolish.
Very well.
All right, let's go get Reggie.
Okay, you guys can head out of the tavern. You can see Reggie making his way like towards the jungle. Hannibal never said where in the jungle, so Reggie's just kind of like
looking in the underbrush.
Yeah, just like just trying to find these two in the under. Like you're just like, huh? Yeah, there's a lot of jungle here.
Reggie,
What?
come here,
No.
please.
It's fine. I turn around and walk back.
Okay.
And we'll explain again to Reggie that us three are going to go and notify Grantar. And
Okay, great. Before you guys go do that, can Hannibal please tell me where those two were?
Yes, they're in the bushes over that way.
Thank you. And I head on over.
It's just out. The bushes are just to the side of the path that leads there, so it's pretty much like on the way back to the Enclave.
Oh, and before I go, I tell Hannibal, oh, by the way, I found like an alchemist shop in town, so later on you can get some ingredients here or whatever.
No, thank you. I'd rather use my own ingredients.
Okay. All right. So you're all heading back towards the Enclave entrance. Reggie goes a little bit ahead, and you can go over into the woods, and you can.
I'm heading over to the bushes.
Yeah. So it's on the way. It's like just off the path. So it's like you're still going in the same direction. You're just gonna peel off to one side, and you're gonna creep through the bushes, and you can see the two of like now you know where you're looking for. You can see the two of them just kind of sitting off to one side, against a tree. They see you coming.
Hey guys, the other three went off to get some help.
What? Wait. What? They went off to get help?
Yeah.
Fine.
What?
We should come back with you then. And Dinar will say, well, it's just that we were gonna ask if you could maybe get them back and then not say anything, because it kind of looks really bad if we got two of our members captured, and we would really, really owe you one if you could get them back for us and not mention it.
Can I make an insight check?
You did not go into the bushes, so you cannot.
In the bushes, okay.
Yeah, you guys are heading back. Reggie's the only one that said he wanted to go off with these two.
Okay.
Can I make an insight check?
You can, yes.
That's not great. Oh boy, that's a 10.
Okay. You get the sense that they're being genuine in this moment. You can definitely sense frustration and embarrassment, and like you can definitely tell that asking you that of like help us and we'll owe you one was a painful thing for them to say.
Well, I get where you're coming from, but if us three work together and like maybe go hold off the guys that have your friends until backup arrives, that'll look like you guys are very good at like solving problems that come up your way. Like you lost the first time, but hey, you can go back at it again. Boom, bada bang. Look way better on you guys.
But are your friends already going back to tell Grantar that this has happened?
If we manage to rescue your friends before they come back.
They both look at each other. You can look at they both look like they're very injured and like tired and basically spent
Who looks the most injured?
Probably Dinar looks the most injured. Erit looks like she was the most injured, but then probably spent like all of her cleric spell slots healing herself back.
I'll heal Dinar.
Okay.
Your wounds. 10 points of damage.
Okay. So yeah, you see just wounds, golden light just knits up wounds and stuff all over her body, and she's, that's a lot better. Thank you.
Right. Now, it would be best to get help, because then less chance of dying. Getting embarrassed is a lot better than dying, in my opinion.
All right. So we're going to go ask for help then?
Yeah, I suppose so. That's the best option.
All right. Lead the way.
Yeah, and I head down the way.
Okay, so you're going to just follow your team back towards the Enclave? Okay, so you guys are walking along. You hear Reggie come out of the bushes behind you, and the other two sheepishly just following along behind him.
Hannibal's going to turn and yell back. I hope it makes you feel any better. I think I said we should have killed you, because it seems suspicious. Ha ha.
That sounds right. Okay.
Reggie awkwardly clears his throat and just keeps walking.
Yeah, awkward's the key word there. Yeah, it is just an awkward, long, quiet walk back to the Enclave with the two of them just not saying anything as you make your way back. By this time, it's full-on nighttime, and you come back into the Enclave.
Right, I guess we had to find Granthar. Is that what was asking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know that he generally stays in that main large pyramid in the back when he's in the Enclave.
All right. So I don't over there though.
Yep.
You make your way up the stone steps. There's a couple of guards at the top that stop you to come up. What is your business?
I think I should talk to Grantar. I think I've known him the longest. Yes. So you see, the other squad behind us, they fucked up really bad and got their friends captured.
Okay, I'm gonna step in real quick. Okay. I wouldn't say they fucked up really bad. They
fucked up really bad.
God damn it, Hannibal. They fucked up a little bit.
I'm with Hannibal on this one. They're
God
captain.
damn it, guys.
We are not.
Okay.
They just the guards just kind of look at all of you and just, we'll go get him. And one of them says he goes back inside.
Thank you.
And,
You deserve a raise.
Shortly after, Grantar comes up, kind of drifts up in settling his cape around himself as he comes up. What happened?
The other squad fucked up, got themselves kidnapped, and now they want us to help.
They got ambushed, and 2 of their members got taken, but the other 2 were able to fight him off.
He looks over at the other 2 and he says, "The other 2 members of your squad were taken." And Dinar says, "Yes, we think they were taking them to try and ransom them to you." And he just glares down at the 2 of them.
Can I step between his gaze and those 2?
You can, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
He raises one eyebrow as he sees you, just like, what the hell is this?
Okay. Yeah, okay, they fucked up. I'm not gonna deny that. But should we really be focusing on admonishing them, or should we be focusing on rescuing them?
I will focus on whatever I please. Now he looks over you and he says to the other 2, "Come inside, tell me everything you know. We'll send out a team of knights to retrieve them." And then he looks at the rest of you and he says, "Very well done bringing this to my attention.
It was my idea. Thank you. You're welcome.
You're a jackass.
I was trying to determine which of your squads had performed better in today's test. And now it is clear to me that is a moot point, and your squad is clearly the superior of the 2.
I was joking. It was Zaja's idea. I wanted to kill them because I thought they were trying to ambush me in the woods.
That would not have been wise. But I'll look at.
It was quite suspicious.
Either way, I was trying to decide which squad would be. Of the 2 of you, you were already the top 2 squads.
Naturally.
And of the 2 of you, I was trying to decide which one would perform better, and I clearly can see which it is. So, because of that, we'll handle this. You should all rest up. Tomorrow, you have earned the honor of joining me in observing a raiding party at work. You will get to see the soldiers of our queen doing what they do best, and see kind of thing you are working towards. After that, you will be able to choose and determine where it is you wish to go, where you wish to be deployed. But first, I believe you have earned a taste of the glory that awaits you.
Wunderbar.
Go and get some rest. Tomorrow is an exciting day for you.
Hannibal's gonna raise a finger.
Mm-hmm.
I do has one request, Father.
Yes.
Kohis has been disruptive and disturbing my studies, which would help the group and the enclave as a whole. Is there any chance she could be put in her own little laboratory and I could have that one to myself?
After tomorrow, you won't have any laboratory, Hannibal. You will be on the road.
That's disgusting.
We've talked about this. Now, all of you, go get rest.
Could I have a personal carriage that these three could carry me around in?
No.
Can I whack Hannibal on the back of the head?
You're not sure if that'd be the best idea at the moment, right in front of Grantard. Like, infighting would be the best. You can. You just know that, like, might not get the most approving look from...
Okay, can I do it after Grandpa leaves?
Sure.
Okay.
So, yeah, he just says... He gestures to the other two, and they come inside, and then he nods at all of you and says, I will see all of you tomorrow. And he goes inside with those two.
Bye, Mr. T.
You see a slight pause, as like he's regret any amount of praise he just gave all of you, and then he just keeps walking.
The moment he leaves the room, I raise my hand on the back of his head. So I have to roll an attack roll.
Sure.
Okay.
Roll an attack roll against Hannibal.
Oh god. That's just that's an unnatural 20.
Okay, so Hannibal, Reggie just reaches over and very quickly just smacks you upside the head.
I slowly reach for a vial of acid.
Stop this. Stop this.
I was only going to disfigure his face.
He doesn't need his face disfigured.
I would prefer not that, also.
Phil.
We've done well. We should not be fighting. There's no need.
I didn't do anything.
You acted like an ass.
That is just who I am.
Yes.
We should accept each other for what we are.
Could we just leave it?
I will leave it if I'm no longer this one's babysitter.
Fine. You are no longer anyone's babysitter.
Wunderbar. And down the steps back to the lab.
Can I lean up to Drusilla and say, he wasn't my babysitter, right? Like that wasn't the dynamic. That was the dynamic, wasn't it? God damn it.
Okay. And with that, you can all head back to your quarters and rest after a day of hard work. And that is where we will end our first session of Soldiers of the Lich Queen.
Woo!
So, congratulations, everybody.
Cool.
Yeah. You could have gone and rescued those other two. You could have just turned them in. Both were an option. Either way, it didn't matter. So, yeah. So after that, the next thing you guys have is you will be accompanying Grantar to observe a raiding party, and then after that, you will need to determine where it is you would like to be basically dropped off in the world. You're just going to be pretty much just plopped down somewhere with not a lot of support, because the whole point is that you show that you're self-sufficient by being able to, with no aid or resources given to you, find your way to an illithid and kill it, and then bring it back. So you'll need to pick a place if you want to start thinking about some general features of a place that you'd want to be looking at. You're aware that it's going to take you some time. It's not just going to be like figure out where one is and then run in and kill it, because illithid tend to be fairly well defended, well protected. You're going to need to develop, find allies, gain resources, get a little more experience in your respective areas of expertise.
Level up.
Level up some, yeah. You're going to need to do some growth and some work before you can even attempt. So that's what you're going to need to be working on.
I assume the night's rest is a long rest.
Yes, night's rest is a so yeah, you end with this with a long rest, so you don't have to worry about carrying over anything into the next session.
Cool.
All right. So with that, any last minute words or announcements, things to say before we close out the stream?
It was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to finally play a long-term character.
Yeah.
Well, other than the one I play in Gribshade Mountain, but yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, those of you who are watching, for watching us. Hope to see you again next week. And if there's nothing else anyone needs to say, this is the part where we wave into our webcams until the stream stops recording. So, bye.